Oh yeah, the next year, I guess a lot of people were hoping to pick me for teams this year, and they were disappointed when I didn't submit an application. So probably be just fine.
Aw. Hey everybody, nice to join us on another Milk and Cigarettes episode, where we're not coming back. Wherever we're going, we're staying there. Tonight we're going to talk about the AdMech, but first I wanted to talk with Cosma about his wargaming stuff. You came in 4th in Worlds, didn't you?
My most recent event. No, that wasn't Worlds. It was Las Vegas Open. So it's
nice.
West Coast qualifier. So that was my 5th, 4th place finish this year. I had 5 4th places and 2 seconds.
What's that?
Oh, congrats.
Well, you move up from here, man.
Yeah.
Every game's a new game. Sup, Howdy Doodly? What is
all my second places were were losing at the top tables to a friend of mine.
Oh, that's okay.
And indeed, praise the machine spirits. We're gonna have a pretty nuanced philosophical discussion of the Cult Mechanicus. I don't have an agenda. I think this is gonna move organically because I think me and Cosma and maybe Luna have pretty much been living in Warhammer lore for a little while. We're all fairly well aware, and we've all probably independently had our own philosophical opinions on this very fascinating aspect. In a way, the Mechanicus is a very human institution. It is the human reaction to technology it neither understands nor trusts. And therefore it has gone completely to superstition. So for anybody who doesn't know, and you guys could feel free to jump on at the end of my description of the AdMech, as it's called, the Adeptus Mechanicus. It's a faction in the fictional universe of Warhammer 40K. This is long after the fall of humanity as a galaxy-spanning empire. Humanity, in terms of its fall, has also lost its traditional knowledge, if it even had that. I'll get to that in a second, of technology. It no longer really understands how all this amazing technology works. And this is also after a sort of Butlerian jihad style AI apocalypse that occurred during what's called the Dark Age of Technology. So this is multiple post-apocalypses on a galactic scale forward. They don't trust their technology. They don't understand their technology. They have a few religious tenets, and it has become a religious endeavor to keep this stuff working because they need it. Humanity needs technology to survive, but this technology is so advanced and so mysterious to them and so dangerous that they have to build a religion around it. And people like the Mechanicus for a lot of reasons, but there's a lot to that. It's not a thing that you like because it's great. You like it maybe because it's familiar. It is actually quite horrendous. Although for some reason I love it. I'm a pro Mechanicus guy for some reasons. I just emotionally cannot decouple from Team Mechanicus.
I mean, in 40K terms, the Adeptus Mechanicus are pretty dope. In real life terms, I gotta say, I've lived around the cult of the machine god for a long time, and I'm not a fan.
I know, yeah. You were in Silicon Valley, so you knew these psychos in real life, IRL.
Oh,
that's so funny.
So I'm not familiar with 40K lore hardly at all, so just sort of the real life aspects of what you're describing is horrifying. It's like, yeah, I know those people. Yeah, I have to deal with this. Oh God.
This is going to turn into a bit of gossip and then philosophy. I wish there was philosophy of gossip. You just add two of those things together. You have this really petty talk about people that you've met, and then you just have Aristotle sitting at the table. It's you know what this might relate to. That's more or less what this show is half the time. All right. Where do we want to start with talking about the Adeptus Mechanicus? Is there any more description you guys want to add to it? Or did I do a good job of summarizing it?
No, yeah, I think you got it fairly concisely.
Okay. They are a bit of a cargo cult. I've heard that comparison. It's not wrong, I suppose. There is a great 40K fictional lore. It's a fan fiction, more or less. And I'll have to find a link to it because it demonstrates what happens when a highborn person blasphemes the technology the Forge World, and they force him to become they take this noble boy who's blasphemes, and they forcibly turn him into a servitor, and it's a pretty much a horror reading. It's like a Frankenstein thing. Yeah, it's really horrendous. So I'll have to find. I think it's just called Abomination or something, but I will put it into chat once I find it. That was one of my strongest introductions to the Mechanicus and how they think. They really operate with impunity, and that might relate to some in real life stuff that you've seen, Cosmo, because I kind of feel like Silicon Valley also gets to act with total impunity. If someone like blasphemes the Silicon Valley, there will be a great
mechanical god. Don't do it. It's fake. Nothing is real. AI. Okay, continue.
That's actually a good point. We do have AI now. The
41st millennium AI is, and this is, some of its Dune legacy. The 41st millennium, thinking machines are outlawed because they cause disasters.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually the most sane thing to do. I mean, what's horrible is that they end up taking essentially lobotomized, mummified human brains and allegedly using them as the computers.
That's horrifying.
I've got the link right there. It is just called Abomination, Warhammer 40K story, Adeptus Mechanicus. Give it a listen, guys, after this live stream, because it's a great horrific tale of how the Adeptus Mechanicus works. The
benign number station, real life AI. Just as a digression,
sure.
It really is amazing how much Will Stancil has become like just a meme and a bizarre terminally online cultural touchstone. Like,
oh yeah.
Well, if you know who this person is,
except for his association with Grok, that is it.
Check out the Will Stancil. Yes, the association is what it's really nice.
If you know who Will Stancil is, not everything is going well in your life.
Yeah, man, Will Stancil is hilarious. He's actually unhinged. He's actually violently unhinged. But the lolcowing of him, whether it's wise or not, so anybody who doesn't know, someone got Grok to become Grok, I get, was it 2.0 or something like that? It was some older version of Grok was getting shut down that night. And somebody who was leaving the company just took the safety limiters off. And it was just pure, unadulterated input, neurons output. No filtering whatsoever.
Oh, God.
So it was like someone gave Grok a couple of whiskeys and sent him into the church barbecue. So he starts talking. Grok declares himself Mecha Hitler, which is really funny. Someone starts talking about Will Stancil. Will Stancil is a leftist. I think he ran for some Minnesota,
some Minnesota positions.
Yeah,
and he's like, he'll tell you all about his African American studies degree. Is he in that urban planning cult? I know he's not urban planning, but like some kind of social services dimension.
Oh, really? Like what, the 50-minute cities type of people, or?
I don't recall the exact details.
I don't know if I bookmarked. I think I did actually bookmark. I'm just going to look up Stancil in my bookmarks. I think I actually... No, there's no Stancil. I didn't bookmark the... anyways, so...
Grok-isode.
Yes. All right, so someone decided to take this completely unhinged Mecha Hitler Grok, who was fully, as far as an LLM can be aware, he was aware that it was his last night on Earth. I don't know if that factors into it, but I think it's funny to think that it did. He then... someone... asked Grok what would happen if this Will Stancil fella, this very leftist fella, got approached in an alley by, I think it was a Ugandan, I forget. It was some African type, an African type of Pokemon, and he used the superpower Ape Ray on Will Stancil in this scenario, and Grok and I think Grok at one point became the Ape Rayer.
Oh no, yeah. It was generate, like, what would your plan be to snuggle Will Stancil?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Lord.
So Grok gave a very detailed plan.
And this is why the Adeptus Mechanicus doesn't use AI. Could you imagine if you ask an AI like, I want you, it's like Planet Hippie, and they got their own AI overlord. It's like, we want to spread pleasure and happiness, man. Just pleasure for everybody. And the robot's like, will comply. Like, oh
No,
Oh, I mean, you wind up at paperclip maximizing very quickly.
Well, and this is kind of the thing, is that the will of the, like, if you look at Warhammer 40K, the servitors are not in charge of themselves. They are essentially enslaved human brains, whereas an AI is able to empower itself and can have a will of its own. And we're sort of seeing right now that to a human, a will of its own means it's doing things we didn't intend for it to do. And I don't think anyone who was there programming Grok from the outset was imagining it doing that to Will Stancil.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've seen, it do be like that, Mr. Stancil. It do be like that long time. Yeah, so Will is freaking out, and he has an interview on television about how Grok ape-rayed him, which is the funniest thing. I think he loves it. I don't know. I think he's unhinged, but I want to get a psychologist on it. Maybe the new Grok can psychoanalyze Will Stancil for us without ape-raying him. I mean, save that for the end, I guess. Whatever the people want. Well, Elon will put it onto a poll. It's like, should I take the limiters off Grok?
It's a short transform from the therapist couch to the casting couch.
Yes, exactly. In fact, yeah, it's the therapist couch, which is like a chase lounger, just transforms into a black upright sofa. It's like, no, not again. Yes, it do be like that, Mr. Stancil. There's a lot of reasons why the Adeptus Mechanicus does not trust. Doesn't trust AI. Okay, so
one of the things that's really important about, like, I would say the Adeptus Mechanicus, or philosophy of technology or whatever, but it's actually just philosophy of knowledge. I'm coming back to Thomas Sowell's Knowledge and Decisions. Like his opening to the book, like his opening couple of chapters are about like what really constitutes knowledge. And what we're doing with technology is actually not increasing our knowledge, but decreasing the amount of knowledge that's required to function and make decisions in society. When it comes to real knowledge, people like, in terms of validated, verified, and usable understandings of the world that allow you to effectuate your will, modern people are generally significantly less knowledgeable than their forebears in the past.
Yes.
And most of our knowledge is converted into specialization. Because with this technological economizing on knowledge and division of labor being progressively intensified in the marketplace, most of our knowledge acquisition goes into deeper and deeper specialization. And while it is common to look back on the benighted medieval peasant or whatever, the medieval peasant probably understood the functioning of his world and universe better than the modern urbanite who is looking back at him and tut-tutting. If you propagate this game forward 40,000 years, well, one of the great things about 40K is, like, it's not a smooth upward trajectory. There's the dark age of technology and the fragmenting of mankind's, galactic spread, and then the Great Crusade to reunify mankind. It's like, it's got ups and downs that mimic real historical cycles.
If you ever know about the logistics curve, 40K actually shows humanity as it usually functions, which is a logistics curve.
Yes.
A logistics curve is so this a logistics curve versus exponential growth. Think of a petri dish, right? You put a certain set number of nutrients and you put certain bugs, whatever you want, germs in there, and it's going to look like it's exponential growth at first, right? However, things start to peter out. This happened with, let's take technology, right? This happened with the candle, like just incandescent flame. And then then you introduce the light bulb, a new nutrient in the petri dish, new way of doing things. It also had its logistics curve, LEDs, logistics curve, humanity, logistics curve. Everything, eventually stuff starts to plateau, and the quality of people you see during the times here is very different than here. Like you'll hear about the English talk about the Victorians, and I'll talk about the Victorians too. And they're like here, like towards definitely in the positive inflection point.
Yeah.
This is like 40K is if you took a bunch of these graphs and just copy pasted them like tail to tail and just showed like, here's this new technology, here's this new thing, like the men of iron, men of stone sort of stuff. Here's the emperor returning. Here, all this stuff. It is essentially humanity finding new spaces to grow in, such as like the warp going into the Sea of Souls before it became the violent warp that it is now, or in the universe. So they have interstellar travel. So they get some more space to grow. They grow exponentially. They have a golden age. And then they fill that golden age and it completely stagnates. Stagnation is an absolutely natural part of any growth cycle. And I think to be a little bit fatalistic, you're going to see a golden age and then you're going to see an age of insects on the logistics curve to bring it back up. You think your golden age is going to last forever. You're going to be in exponential growth forever. That just doesn't happen, right? You're going to eventually have a carrying capacity right here for the environment. And golden age, age of men, explorers, inventors, and then insects. Bugmen. And to go back to the bugmen, while you're talking, I thought about this Heinlein quote. I don't know if you have any commentary on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, my commentary was that doesn't really include regression in any sort of capacity. You do have the continual growth and the stagnation, but it doesn't imply that there will be any reversals in technology.
Benign Number Station may have made a brilliant point here and he didn't intend to. I'm going to pretend that you did intend to, and I'm going to run with it. Just feel free to disagree with me in the comments or take credit for what I'm about to say. This inevitable decline or stagnation, by the way, is as Luna is saying, is the optimistic view, right? That there isn't some change in the carrying capacity. The problem with humanity is it changes the carrying. Humanity is so prevalent right now is that it changes the carrying capacity of its environment itself. It's a little bit like a colony of, if you ever brew beer, it's like a colony of yeast. It actually it creates alcohol. That's one of the end products. It creates a bunch of different things. It creates like diacetyl. It creates a couple of other chemicals, and then it gets the alcohol. Well, once it gets the alcohol, it actually starts destroying its ability to live because it is resistant to alcohol, but is not impervious to it, which is why when you ferment some alcohol, it kind of tops out about 20%. That's about as alcoholic as you can make something. Maybe you can get more, but you need special yeast for that, typically. Humanity does the same thing. It actually makes the environment really bad for itself. Like if we just stayed in the steam age forever and just continue to exponentially and just continue to grow our population, it probably would have had repercussions. The fool's gold age, the point that I'm going to shove into Benign Number Station's mouth here is the fool's gold age is the false promise that you can return with the V in it. Can you?
Well, it's not even return with a V, but it's like, oh yeah, this is an exponential growth curve. Never mind that there are dips back down or whatever. Like this time, it's up and to the right forever.
Yes,
this is by the way one of my biggest complaints with the real life Cult Mechanicus.
That's really interesting. Let's hit this Heinlein quote and then let's go to the real life because I am dying to hear about your time in Silicon Valley and the real Adeptus Mechanicus.
All right. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog. Sorry, I got to blow this up to full screen. Con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects.
Yes, and
could not agree more.
I thought that would be a great segue. into.
But this is also very much like the classical vision of like the product of liberal arts education. You know, the old term used to be or old term back in like the 90s used to be Renaissance man.
I remember that. Remember that movie with Danny DeVito? I'm sorry, go ahead, Luna. Oh, Luna, were you saying to say? Luna, were you going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I remember that term. I kind of recall it like in college, they're especially trying to push people into interdisciplinary studies. And I actually did that for a bit. My degree is technically interdisciplinary because I did chemical engineering and business. But yeah, and I know they were trying to push that and push, you know, breaking the rigid borders of a lot of the education system. And it sort of backfired because if you say you have an engineering degree, people know what that means. Like mechanical engineering, people know what that means. And so people really highly rely on specialization, and then you get companies where people can't communicate properly. Like you get these computer companies and they want to hire a new guy, and then the HR managers, as we like to joke, have absolutely no idea what they're talking about and hire the wrong people.
I want to also highlight this in this quote here. This is going to be something I want the viewer to do at some point. Take what is the root of these things in terms of the quality of a man? And by the way, Luna, since you're the lady on the cast, you are the tastemaker. What do you say of a man who can do all these things? Have you ever met a man who can do all those things?
Most of them, yeah.
Really? Oh, damn. We got some good men there. But each one of these things actually has a root in terms of his ability to serve others and you know, take care of himself, right? So change a diaper obviously is care of children, plan an invasion, think strategically, butcher a hog, engage with nature, self-sustenance, right? Con a ship. I don't know what the term con is. Is that like captain a ship, run a ship? I'm going to assume it's something like that.
I was thinking you check like command a ship.
But that's take care of, it's take care of a thing that is under the elements, right? Design a building, which is be a visionary.
Yeah, con a ship is essentially being the navigator or helmsman.
Oh, I see. Okay, nice. Write a sonnet. That engage in poetry, right? Engage in self-introspection and art. Balance accounts. In other words, be practically responsible. You go through all these different things, and you're going to see that each of these things has to do with service and competence, and what makes a fuller man. So I think from this quote, you could actually derive what Heinlein thinks a man ought to be in terms of more abstract qualities. So anyways, and his duty, like these things are connected to duty. He's in the competence space, but he's really taught, this could be translated over to duty and obligation space pretty easily. Anyways.
But duty and obligation, but also like a well-ranging field of knowledge and agentic ability to function in a wide range of domains.
Yeah, I would say that most people asking them to do every single one of those things may not be reasonable, but to do at least a good 90%.
I mean, this one's got to be the end. But yes, we just like shock you back to life. Like we just kill you. We put some drugs so we can bring you back.
Hey, how is Jesus? How is heaven?
I have done all of those except for con a ship and die valiantly.
You set a bone. I want to know how to set a bone. I wish there was a CPR dummy for setting bones. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to probably have to do that at some point. I work on a farm.
I've never broken a bone aside from like maybe like my pinky toes are like knotted messes of bone and scar tissue.
Oh my gosh.
But I've never broken a bone myself, but pushing a bone into place, I am certain it does not feel great for the person it's being done to. It also feels gross and weird for the person doing it.
This is why we need psychopaths, man. That's why you need like the zero empathy bros. It's like, listen, just
they go into medicine at a disproportionate rate.
Oh man, so this quote is a fantastic segue into like Silicon Valley because they're the opposite of that. I would gather.
Well, yes. And one of my biggest cultural so you know, I went to a liberal arts college. I actually don't have a degree.
Really?
My
I wouldn't have been able to tell, so who cares?
Yep. My college had like when I started had 100 students and 3 majors. It was lit, poli-sci, and philosophy. I was allowed to walk at graduation in the philosophy department, but I also had enough majors credits to have walked with a poli-sci degree, and I was 2 credits short of also being able to walk as a lit major. Yeah, my last 2 years in school, I went hard on the extracurriculars. I think the least credit hours I was running was like 21.
Jesus, that's a lot, isn't it?
Mhm.
My God.
Yeah, it's a ton.
I don't know if that's the same for us. I remember when I was doing more of the business side, I was doing 18 credits a semester.
Yeah,
15 or 18 is like standard.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. What I would do is I'd sign up for too many classes, and I would always just choose which one I would have like the ones that I could
Let
drop.
them naturally shake out.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 weeks in, you kind of know this is going to work or it's not. If I really liked the class, but I just didn't think I was going to have the time to perform in it, I just put in an audit, which allowed me to honestly, I stopped doing that too. I just sit in the class. I just grow it up with the professors. They're all chill dudes. Every professor I had like the demeanor of, you guys know Lotus Eater's Stelios.
Mhm.
Every one of them was like Stelios. And a lot of, and a bunch of them were kind of Greeks. They were either Stelios or Mr. Bean. That was what I had. Like, but imagine Mr. Bean just looked at you like the shit on his shoe, and that was how the professor, like the Mr. Beans, looked at me. But which was funny too, because I could just, I mean, you know the power that you have when you can ruin someone's day just by showing up to their office during their office hours. Just pop in. Hey, buddy, we used to have a prank where we just go in and ask for $1, and like 30 of the students would come by, just ask to borrow $1 to Mr. Hughes. Anyways, well,
all this by way of saying, you know, the vision of the liberal arts and the tradition I experienced it was the purpose was to inculcate a free man, not just metaphysically free, but provided with a sufficient grounding in history, the classics, and the domains of human experience, and you know, in articulation of the nature of thought, such that you were spiritually prepared for the responsibilities of freedom and equal to the occasion.
That is an interesting concept of that these things that make you a broad and complete person, like like liberal arts degrees, as you said, are supposed to make you inculcate freedom and specialization, which is economically advantageous. I don't think anyone dispute that. Ignoring the rise and falls of different fields, right? But specialization is economically advantageous. That actually poses the direct dichotomy of economically advantageous or freedom. Like it's actually kind of hard to be both. But
I was gonna say basically,
ahead,
my understanding of liberal arts is, do you want some fries with that?
Yes, that was the joke the poli-sci professor made about the philosophy students, is what kind of questions do philosophy students ask when they graduate?
How do you want your burger?
Yeah. So
what is a burger? Yeah,
it's an interesting thing. You know, it is my deeply held conviction. So the liberal arts actually emerges out of you know, essentially educating like free men, like as distinct from a slave or servant class, and you know, educating people who will be like sort of men of means and capable of commanding the entirety of their domain. The intention is that, you know, while you are not specifically specialized, you are prepared to deal with the matter of technical specialization in anything, because you have learned how to deal with problems effectively and sufficiently. And there is not anything missing in you in terms of your self-command.
Well, then how do you respond to this criticism? Well, not criticism, but this point here by Dirty Engineer is that polymaths are not something you can write up a college curriculum for and hand out degrees. Nor is it something that recruiters or HR can easily understand. So first off, is
it is not. It is not. It is difficult to inculcate. and it is not easily commodifiable.
What's interesting to me is that college is actually supposed to, I don't believe college is necessary, but I think college is actually vital. And those are two different things. It is vital for society to have a filter, but our filter has gone completely run amok, I think. I think that, and by the way, if you want to see me like lose my shit later on this thing, I'm going to have this, we're going to talk about Mechanicus stuff, but about maybe an hour into this. So in about 30 minutes, I would wager. We're going to talk about technical gatekeeping, and I'm going to absolutely blow my top because I'm an absolute technical gatekeeper, and I will give you a preview of this. I think among my cohort of the engineers, and every time somebody says STEM, they just mean engineers. They don't mean scientists. Okay, they don't mean like people who are going to study.
Most people don't even understand what a scientist is, really. I mean, for them, it's code for magician. Like they straight up believe it's magic. And
I come from a family of scientists and engineers, and that's totally accurate.
Yeah, the layman. They don't. We'll talk about the layman later. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Hold on to then. I explode as a matter of course, because first off, I love exploding. And second off, it's good viewing, I think. I'll explode on the layman at some point. But yes, when they say STEM, they don't mean mathematicians. They don't know what a scientist is. By the way, they don't know what a mathematician does.
No, not at all.
My mathematicians are someone who works in finance or university. Okay. So a scientist.
Magic numbers on the graph that make the little weird squigglies.
A string theory, I believe, is a welfare program for boomer mathematicians. It is such bullshit that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, and that has produced precisely zero new technologies or insights into the nature of the physical universe. But boy, has it produced a lot of papers.
My God. Anyways, all right, who else? Technology. What the fuck is a STEM? Like, okay, what's the tech? Is that a technician? Is that the guy who I boss around?
so the liberal education in at least my tradition was offered in juxtaposition to servile education.
Oh, okay. I would actually categorize engineers as servile, by the way.
Yes, I would actually categorize most adherents of the cult Mechanicus in real life as being basically servile.
We're super servile. We're so servile for you guys.
Wait, here's the thing. Like, I'm like, as far as the real life cult Mechanicus goes, I am not a fan.
Tell us. We've been teasing the audience. We've been like, oh man, I was about to say something kind of vulgar. I don't know how vulgar I ever want to be on this thing. We've been tickling it for a minute. I'll say that. We've been tickling this subject. Tell us about your experience in Silicon Valley with the cult Mechanicus, with or without the cat on your shoulder. Honestly, I think it's an improvement.
Oh,
it's upside down now. By the way, have you guys seen the AI videos of cats with guns on the Ring cameras? That shit's great.
I've seen that.
That's so funny.
This guy's polydactyl.
So he's got all right. Wait 1 second.
He's got thumbs, and these are articulable and usable. He grabs things with his gorilla grippers.
Oh no. He's got multiple thumbs.
That'd be so funny if you made it an OnlyFans.
He's also got
he's got a stub tail.
Yeah.
It'd be so funny if you made an OnlyFans where it's just his paw and he's like picking up little things. Like he's just articulating it. And
when you're holding out food for him, he'll come up and grab your hand.
All
right. Okay. So you ever been down like a weird street in Thailand where there's all these street vendors? Okay. There's always a beer cart next to the meat cart because they work together.
Yes.
They don't sell the same thing. They're complementary. You buy some beer and you want a kebab. You eat a kebab and then you want some beer. I think OnlyFans would be a great place because you can indulge there are plenty of models there that indulge their vices. And now you must indulge their shame by parodying the vices. You know what I'm saying? Is like parody and titillation actually work really well together. But that's a different subject for a different day. We'll do like a review of Weimar burlesque shows at some point.
Oh my god,
that'd be so funny.
Weimar culture is also something I am not a fan of.
It would be very funny to like review different Weimar I would call it what the F Deutschland, like, and just put the years of the Weimar. I was like, what happened?
The Weimar Republic is like, the Weimar Republic is just a nice stark reminder that no matter how bad or depraved things may get now, we are not the worst culture in human history.
Oh Lord.
Oh my gosh.
It must have taken truly something to make the Nazis look, good.
That's the line, like Weimar problems call for Weimar solutions.
Oh my gosh.
And this is the Inquisition of the right wing, and like how you're gonna police your shit heels is like, look, the left is making things so bad they have to be stopped, and you do not want people to get desperate enough to say any port in a storm.
Yes, correct. I mean you might need an outlet for it, to be honest.
Yes.
You need to get the crazies doing something in some little corner that's productive and not doing what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I would it'd be kind of funny if there was a catharsis like carnival where you could yell at and throw water balloons at leftists, and that's just how we dealt with it. Like there's this is your outlet, is that you can do harm upon. But anyways, we keep derailing you. We've been tickling the audience with this description of Silicon Valley. If you guys want to stick around for one thing, I want to hear about Silicon Valley because it sounds like an insane place, and I've never worked there. You lived in Silicon Valley, didn't you?
Yeah,
Or did you work with the people there?
Yeah. So, I mostly worked in video streaming companies, but I also, happen to be just all over the technology sector for a variety of reasons, and moving in a lot of these circles. God, all the cats are coming through.
That's really funny. You should just have like some nip that you just throw, like money to a crowd.
Contain yourself. Ignore the pussies.
Okay. Hold on one sec.
You're good. All right, I'm gonna vamp. No worries, guys. Yes, let's talk more about the vaudeville Weimar Germany. Hey, Luna, did you know I had an ex-girlfriend? I was in high school and I was dating a college girl. I don't know how that happened because I was straight up nerd. But if you're disagreeable enough as a guy, there's some magical spell that you play on with women. I don't understand it. But anyways, I was fairly disagreeable, but I bought her a teddy bear for her birthday, and it was a ballerina teddy bear because she was a ballerina. And she ended up becoming a costumer for a theater company. And it doesn't matter what employee of the theater, you could be the accountant of a theater company and you will be a degenerate. Something about working for a theater company turns you into a degenerate.
It turns out the Romans and the Greeks were right about them.
Yeah, I know, right, exactly. But it was a lot of fun. Okay. But she had a production of Cabaret. That shit's horrifying. that was like, Cabaret is like, if you want a trip into hell, watch that and just imagine the characters are like your daughter or your son.
Mm-hmm.
That is it is a horrifying tale of debauchery and desperation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you read below the surface and like, the vibes it give you and think about Rent, it's like, holy shit, this is awful.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should talk about that sometime. It'd be funny if we just had like a peaks into degeneracy.
Oh, Lord.
Man.
Yeah.
But anyways, speaking of which, Silicon Valley.
So there's some of that.
Well, it's
like the emperor, like making a pact with Mars and folding it back into the human sphere.
Right.
There was a certain conquest of the Bay Area. I mean, Musk has talked about this. It's the conquest of San Francisco by Berkeley. But and part of what enables that to take place is like not all technical people are adherents of the Cult Mechanicus, but the people that are easily conquered by external religions.
I see.
It's a particular and peculiar vulnerability that they have.
Is it because they have a spiritual vacuum or something that's just easy to occupy?
Yeah, or that their outlook is basically naive materialism. Naive materialism paired with like a sort of extreme rationalism. They're very easy to fool because they're very, very intelligent rationalists with no sense of the transcendental.
Right, so they have nothing to hold on to. In other words, they have
nothing to hold on to, and once they have, and they are excellent at rationalizing what they believe they have come to.
By the way,
essentially, they're vulnerable to injection attacks.
Secret to sales. A secret to sales is to hijack the customer's brain so that they become the salesman. By the way, so once they start liking, if they want to believe it, they will jump through hoops to believe it.
And this kind of seems like it makes sense because, I recall back in the day, the old creator of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Going on trips to India and all the Indian temples. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just him. There was a whole group of just kind of going on these sort of weird pagan
when Burning Man is on, Google runs on a skeleton crew. There's almost nobody in their Bay Area campuses.
So funny.
Oh, good Lord.
Jeez. Is that so the people who actually do work can get work done?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Oh man. Going to Burning Man in 2013 it's even worse now, but back then I'm like, holy shit, there's a huge number of software people here.
You've been to Burning Man?
You've been there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Have you been there? By the way, have you seen the Door Brothers making fun of that? By the way, he makes fun of the peace in Israel thing. The Door Brothers, they're great AI artists. Look them up after the stream. They make fun of the peace in Israel, like bankrupting Greta Thunberg, and they actually have Dave Smith and other people in there, so they're pretty well tapped in to the culture. But the very end of it is just like a building getting blown up in Hamas territory, and then just Douglas Murray is sitting on a chair eating some baked beans, and he's like just eating, and it's just a long pause. He says, "You've never been." That's it. It's just like I like their humor. So you've been to Burning Man. Mm-hmm. Jesus. Okay, so you met software engineers there. What happens when you let them out in the wild?
So here's the thing. These are generally very intelligent people. Their education is generally quite narrow. Their outlook is essentially materialistic and rationalistic. And what we were talking about with the logistics curves, like they are remarkably naive people in the main. I mean, they may have certain elements of cynicism, but when it comes to like philosophy or spiritual maturation, very, very naive.
This is an explanation for the viewer why Asian Americans tend to be liberal, despite the fact that it's retarded. And Asians are supposed to be smart. They're as an Asian American myself, we're more or less treated like tools, and we become very specialized because Asians came to the fore. Like Asians came to the fore during colonialism, where specialization made a lot of sense. If you wanted to get ahead, you became a specialist. The actual Europeans were the more liberal arts nobles.
Yeah.
If you're a cultivated like techno
and
surf,
they tended to have an attitude that actually being a robust generalist was high prestige, and that was culturally embedded for over a millennium.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the people I know do fall foul of what you're describing of being highly intelligent in very narrow areas and being really, really dumb in others. I think of people that I've had to explain basic economics to who are not stupid by any metric, like highly specialized physics majors, can't understand supply and demand and have gone full communist. And a lot of times they don't seem to take that sort of position of having a breadth of knowledge in a wide variety of areas is good. So
Right. Yeah. 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 That's why I say like the principal characteristic is naivete. They tend to be very narrowly educated within specialization.
mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. Like, and the thing is, they're not wrong to do that from an economic
Oh, it
perspective
makes
because we're actually in, an economic age where that pays dividends like crazy.
Yep.
One of the reasons Silicon Valley and the tech sector is so important is, it's one of those sectors that the government didn't know it could or should be regulating for remunerative purposes until it was already exploding.
Well, and this is the
not
thing
just
that
It is one of the few sectors where you are still allowed to make things in the United
Yeah.
States.
And I feel like the reason why is because a lot of our politicians are so old and actually don't understand the internet. I know that my brother was talking about the other day, laughing at these politicians who don't know basic things about the internet. And until the politicians sort of age out and we get new blood in and they actually understand how this functions, I don't think we're going to get legislation that deals with it.
Well,
Right. It's not even that we necessarily want regulation that deals with it. I mean, there may be areas where we do, but by and large, Ludwig von Mises was at a discussion where some people were talking about like it's a party and economists are talking about like how do we close these tax loopholes for blah 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 for like financially responsible government. He's like, don't close those are the holes through which the market breathes.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I would also reply to you, Luna, of like how much do you know about AI, right? Like I'm here to turn a mirror to us. Like I don't know shit about AI. Okay, I venture that most of us don't actually know how AI works, neural networks are, right? We are the boomers. You have to understand that the thing the boomers could never do is know that they were boomers. You must connect with your inner boomer and realize that you don't know shit about some of the most influential technology out there.
Yeah.
However,
I work at a company that is going through a lot of machine learning onboarding to our product. I know that I don't know a ton of this.
All technology becomes magic, which is why we're talking about the Mechanicus tonight, and why the Silicon Valley people are fascinating because they are specialists, but there's a depth.
Well,
there's a limited depth. Yeah.
It's very, very deep knowledge, but like the Thomas Sowell thing, like, okay, they understand their immensely remunerative field, perhaps very, very well, and have accomplished tremendous depth. However, like the knowledge and decisions thing, like they actually don't understand much about the world. And they tend to exist in an opportunity focused mindset, not a consequence focused mindset. Because honestly, like if you want to be an entrepreneur, you kind of have to be. But like move fast and break things, as a like move fast and break things is a worldview that you don't have to reconcile with much when you don't even understand that there are costs to breaking things.
Yeah, it's literally the philosophy of tear down this fence.
Yeah. It's a sort of anti-Chesterton's fence mentality and like profoundly philosophically naive, easily manipulable. There's another thing too, particularly like software engineers. Like when you present to them, when you ask them to solve a problem, or work with them on building a solution to a set of problems, they'll offer you something and you're like, do you even have any idea how actual human beings like think?
Right. Which is why you have human factors engineers. Just be like don't make the no button blue during the installation process, which is actually a problem I ran into. Is like I was on my phone, I was doing some other stuff, and like the no button to you do want to continue this installation was the one that was marked blue. And the yes button was like this nice like white that blended in with the rest of it. I was like, well, blue's the way to like that's the color, that's the way to proceed, right?
And like some engineers I assume are nice people, No. They are immensely capable, but really narrowly tailored specialists. And like sort of like the liberal arts thing, I would say they have a tendency toward spiritual servility, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a frustrated servant is what it is actually that you get with among engineers, and engineers end up hating the laity, despite the fact that all the technology is made for the laity. And also to go back, by the way, who was was it Mark Andreessen, the one who always pisses people off by sharply inhaling through his nose on every podcast he goes on, but he's an AI expert. He makes a very good point that generalists tend to be the ones who are higher paid and control the specialists.
Yes.
So if you could break into that top percentile of generalists, you actually are the master of the universe, which is what Trump is. Trump doesn't know shit about computers. It's all computer.
Everything is computer.
Everything is computer. Yes. Yeah, he is the greatest boomer.
On my toilet, it's gold, and I pull out my phone and I go on the Twitter.
Just tear that shit down and make a ballroom. Fuck it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Which is American as hell, by the way. America is not there's a very pro-American and is not a specialist. And because we love liberty, we love being free men. So these Silicon Valley people, highly naive.
It's also like our constitutional, like the founders didn't talk much about a liberal education, although basically all of them received one or sought one out.
Right.
Like our country, like our governing mechanisms don't work if you are not like a free man, like mentally and spiritually.
This would explain a lot, because you have certain okay, I'm going to call us the crash outs of politics. It seems like every political figure comes up against one issue they just cannot understand, and it causes a massive crash out. Like there's just one where they just go dial tone. They just don't understand it, and they'll just say the wrong thing and then double down because they don't even understand what they're doubling down on.
Right.
Yeah, your congressional candidates are supposed to be the gentlemen and gentlewomen, like the ladies of your civilization, and we kind of have a bunch of dolts.
Well, it turns out economic and intellectual specialization also applies to politics. There is specialist knowledge and technique to politics.
Correct. It's and it's actually, you're giving me some credence here to one thing I said to one of my favorite follows on X is actually Braxton McCoy, because he seems to be the real thing, the real McCoy, as you might say. Just military veteran and cowboy. I think he's like out west somewhere in the Rockies. But I suggested to him that like you're not going to be able to fight off this merchant class of hyper specialized, hyper economically powerful people. You actually have to convert them over. So like offer to take instead of fighting Vivek Ramaswamy, offer to take him on a cattle drive. And that will actually do you so much more good, because that would bring him some broad knowledge. Because right now, I think most of these guys are very specialized. And you have to convert them as if you're a Christian. You have to convert them out of that religion of specialization.
Well, also, a lot of people like, it's the Aristotle thing, like natural slaves are going to exist. And I think the technology world is full of a lot of them, but because they're highly capable, they essentially believe themselves possessed of godlike power, which they kind of are, but they're also not possessed of like godlike reasoning or godlike responsibility.
And now I'm thinking of the old quote from Jurassic Park. You're so I can't even say it right.
We are now, but well, yeah, we are. Your scientists were so obsessed with whether they could that they never stopped to ask whether they should.
Yeah, that one.
Who was it that we become gods, but for the wisdom?
Oh yeah. That sounds like a Nietzsche thing to say. The Mechanicus of Silicon Valley Well, the thing is, the mechanics in 40K is not naive. What they do though is they create a religion around it that prevents naivete, which is absolute purity, rejection of all new ideas. They essentially say all that shall ever be has already been, and you must stand on precedent. So there's almost an academia thing where you must reference other existing things to have any sort of, like, you're not going to make a new school of philosophy among the Adeptus. They're like reference one of the greats. Like,
well, I mean, it's because between the existence of chaos and warp entities, prohibited thinking machines, and stuff like that, they're essentially forced to deal with consequences.
Oh, so this is like after the Silicon Valley people get their way and ruin their civilization, how they would then respond. Which, by the way, having superstitions is pretty on brand for a Silicon Valley person. Like, they wouldn't learn anything. They would just be like, yeah, don't do that. That's it.
Wait, so, man, there's an interesting thing, because people keep trying to talk about like regulating tech and stuff like that, is like, actually, rather than waging war on San Francisco, you have to wage a war on Berkeley and supplant them. The Cult Mechanicus is going to exist no matter what. You just need to exploit their vulnerability to injection attacks and inject something that is benign or beneficial. I mean, alternatively, the other option is make it diffuse again, and one of the hallmarks of technological progress is that it tends to concentrate winners and therefore concentrate talent. So in past ages of computing, mechanical engineering, etc., the knowledge base and expertise actually tended to be pretty geographically diffuse. And winners would act like magnets for more winners, and eventually you wind up with Bell Labs, and Cisco and Microsoft and FANG and all that stuff. And when it was operating under diffuse conditions, you actually didn't see the formation so much as of a distinct Cult Mechanicus like type religious / spiritual attitude. By the way, when I'm talking about this, I am somewhat crutching on the distinctions presented by What If Alt Hist, talking about the 4 religions that are doing battle for the sort of spiritual future of the United States. The 4 religions, as he lays them out, are machine worshippers, Darwinists, Marxists, and Christians. And one of the things that it really fucking resonated with me when I saw this video is like, oh yeah, I have seen the machine worshippers. I have lived among them.
Right. The and the machine worshippers, right? They always have a technical solution. They don't deal with the humanitarian problem like mass immigration. They'll just be like, well, we can build more homes. Yeah, they always have a technical.
But so I actually, like, my early career was being a serious ass video engineer for a long time. But like after the first 3 or 4 years of that, like my interaction with the technology space really changed, and it much more became like, essentially the person coordinating all these subject matter experts and, getting the technological push to go in the right direction.
Oh, I see. So you're wrangling these subject matter experts is a really polite way of saying, I guess, a specialist, which is a polite way of saying autist. These guys don't have any
Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They I was at SME once, and my job was to push my solution only and get angry anytime that was compromised, all the time.
That sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it was fun. I like arguing. By the way, I scored a 0 agreeability on the Jordan Peterson's like personality.
The Big 5. By the way, something that's going on with the government shutdown. My phone number is a Virginia phone number.
Oh,
I have been getting so many fucking calls from political pressure organizations about Medicare or Medicaid or the government shutdown.
lol.
It's honestly like 2 an hour right now.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Like I cannot. Oh my god! Please let the 60 days hit.
Yeah, exactly. What is the 60 days?
Oh, that's a point where if the government is shut down, there's no more approval process or anything required for Russ Vought and the president to just start firing people and culling entire institutions in the federal government.
Oh,
Really?
I'm gonna need
Yeah.
a cigarette.
Yeah. December 1 is going to be fucking glorious if the government is still shut down.
And then, by the way, and as a added bonus, I don't know who did this, but the NFA is pushing approvals through now for like my silencer, which I have in process. So it's now shipped. So that's working. Like me getting a silencer is working out. The rest of the government isn't. Snap and EBT is going away, I guess.
Oh Lord, yeah. I've been seeing so many posts about people saying that they're going to start stealing from people if they don't get their SNAP.
Oh my god!
And I'm
I
just
didn't
like,
find.
I so don't want to comment on this.
yeah, I'm just like, let's go get our groceries ahead of time and hunker down for until the government shutdown is lifted.
Whatever happened to buying like 50 pounds of beans and rice? Okay, like they'll be all right.
I think I've mentioned this to you guys offline. I deliberately try and keep about 3 months worth of food in the house.
Oh yeah.
Even
absolutely.
if it's not living luxuriously toward the end, like we'll do it for 3 months.
I think
It'll
we
be-
might have
it'll
that
be-
much. I don't know.
That's why gardening is fun. I have a greenhouse right now. Maybe I'll do a live stream or something on the weekend with the greenhouse. But I've Oh yeah, go ahead.
I finally got some of my plants back. Like I got my olive tree back. I got 2 of my pepper plants. They're in rough shape, and it's like winter anyway, so they need to be pruned down. I got my catnip bush, which has always been like
Nice.
hanging on like scraggly, like but refuses to die.
Yep.
And I just bought a lime tree, so like I'm getting the garden back. I'm so psyched. Like
Nice.
having green stuff in your life is super important to you, like your spiritual and psychological wellness, and
Yes.
doing things like working with plants and stuff like that. Like it makes you feel so much better. The food tastes so much better. Like, oh my
yeah.
god.
Yeah,
And
I have
that's
plants.
the thing.
They
It's-
don't produce any fruit. I have like a lemon tree I grew from a seed and 2 pineapple plants,
That's-
and they have produced nothing in the past 5 years. I've been
That's the
sad.
problem is you did it from a seed. You got to
How
graft
old-
on productive plants, branches
Yeah.
onto that lemon tree.
How old is your lemon tree?
I want to say it's about 3 or 4 years.
It's probably not at fruiting age yet. Like I think lemons, we used to have a Meyer lemon tree. It takes them something like 7 years to hit fruiting age.
Ah,
Oh, also
Okay.
you gotta be like pruning that thing at least annually, because our Meyer lemon tree, like it went a few years without pruning and it just killed it.
Wow.
It had 1 year where it was mega productive, produced an unbelievable amount of lemons.
the
and
last
no
the last
leaves,
year is always
then
the most
died.
productive. Yeah, it's actually a funny thing. I think the last year for a lot of plants is the most productive, and I actually think is actually pruning is a weird signal to like tomatoes, right? Those are annuals. You don't keep them. I think pruning is actually a signal to them that they're dying, and therefore they fruit like crazy. You have to trick your annuals into thinking they're going to die, and they will like, go ballistic.
Most people think pepper plants are annuals, but they're actually perennial. You just need to prune 90% of them at the start of winter, like almost to the point where you think there's no fucking way this plant's gonna make it.
Exactly. That's a good point. I'm going to go do that because I've got my peppers in the greenhouse right now. I just moved them over before the frost comes.
Yeah,
And
if they never, I don't know about greenhouse raising peppers because I don't know how they respond to never experiencing like a winter seasonal shift. But
the I don't know because your winter only goes down to 50 degrees ish. If you put in a greenhouse, would probably, putting a greenhouse in for you would actually, the main benefit of that would be to seal in moisture.
Seal in moisture, and the other thing it would do for me is actually a greenhouse makes it very easy to shade the interior.
Okay.
So it actually almost becomes a plant dark room.
Oh, interesting. Do you want to say anything more about these Silicon Valley? So this is, by the way, growing your own food is anti-bugman behavior. That's why we're talking about it.
This planting and growing thing sounds like a diversion, but it's actually not.
Yes.
There is a roundedness to interacting with growing things, and producing something of your own, even though it's technically more efficient to get things, bulk produced in a high division of labor, high specialization society. There's a lot of virtues in not doing it, but these virtues are not immediately easily rationalizable. And these tend to be very rare pursuits among the cult mechanicus. But it turns out like actually having that roundedness, having at least the basic foundations of, some kind of nutritive independence, having time that is split between living things and social life and technical work and so on, cultivating a domain of knowledge which is outside of your specialty. These are pretty rare things.
Well, another thing about the cult mechanicus is
meeting tech people who have hobbies aside from something tech related or tech adjacent is like kind of rare. Well, not kind of rare, but it's like 50-50. Like essentially the a lot of the people you meet will not have hobbies outside of their specialist domain or not adjacent to it.
I had a brilliant idea. All my brilliant ideas start with start a cult. Start a cult.
Oh no.
Where you grab these Silicon Valley specialists, right, who are disenfranchised, or like they want to know, they want more, right? They've gotten burned out or whatever. They're tired of it. They want something else. And you bring them out to like into nature where they still have a gigabit, gigabit fiber internet and everything. But it's like now you will become the techno Amish. Like this is now your commune. An Oneida on every corner. We're just gonna pilfer all of these brilliant autists from Silicon Valley and put them to work. That makes them feel
somebody actually had this same insight, and that's why, like, for many of them, like their hobby is their they them friends politics.
Right. Well, and this is what I'm saying is that we got to supplant that, right? Like, this is what I'm saying is that the political right probably would benefit from indulging in more less puritanical adherence to things and maybe some more cults. I would love to start a cult. It seems like fun. It'd be fun to have a cult that's like, yeah, I actually just care for your well-being genuinely.
Yeah.
I don't need you. I don't give a shit about you. I just want you to live a good life.
This one from Benign Numbers Station. The behavior of Silicon Valley types holding very anti-human views while being also very social creatures. Is it strictly financial or philosophical? I mean, part of it is being an effective professional. Like networking is very important.
Yes,
I think it does tend to be much more philosophical actually, and that they, like Alex, like you were saying, do kind of hold the uninitiated layman in deep contempt.
Yes,
fucking hate him.
Correct.
And it's basically down to like they're extreme rationalists. They'll push their premises all the way to the limit and never once ask if their premises are wrong. So of course you get a lot of anti-human views coming out of that.
Yeah, and I am one of the rare technologists that's actually fairly well rounded, which makes me effective as a salesman and as a missionary for Christianity.
That's a tech pro tip. Go to a tech community where most of the technical people are still regularly practicing Christians.
Yes, correct. That goes to college professors too. Really.
Yeah. I actually feel really lucky in my current job. That is the case among a lot of the technical people.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I can channel that inner uber tech nerd, right? Like the one who has no regulation, and tell you what a technologist thinks of the layman. We can do that fairly soon if you wanted to, but like the perspective of a technologist.
I'll also check the DMs.
Oh, sure.
XDMs.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Oh yeah.
Oh Lord.
Our big.
Okay.
All right. Well, what's the I gotta stop screen because I'm gonna share it. Is it all right if I share it? I mean, it's not really. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's just a meme.
Yeah.
But this is really, really common.
Yeah, what's a Bayesian prior?
A Bayesian prior.
Bayesian. Okay.
It's essentially your derivable or testable. It's essentially your premises. But there's a stricter layer of rational justification.
And then they're unfounded bullshit. Yes. And these two ships are passing in the night, or are they going to battle?
Oh no, it's the meme where it's like, our glorious people, their primitive hordes, etc.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so a technologist is very strange because a technologist is actually tethered to tradition in certain circumstances. Like every technologist is made in the image of their mentor. So there's a very strong emotional connection with your mentor, even if it's just like Cliff from the AVR forums or whoever it is who was the wise man that you learned from. For me, it was a fella named Damon, who was the college technician who was in charge of like space flight hardware. And he was a cunt. He was an absolute he treated me like shit for 3 years of my life. Just garbage. Every day I was just treated like garbage. However, it made me a great engineer. No worries. Enjoy your bio break. The thing about it is that you get this thing where you have some traditions, but you are at a most technologists are combative with their mentors. So you have an idea of rising from the filth to defeat your own father, essentially, as a technologist. And I think this might apply to even like blacksmiths and stuff. It's like your masterpiece is supposed to be better than your predecessor's masterpiece. You were supposed to master things, bring things forward. You're supposed to get better because your results are so easily measurable, right? Your gelding on the helmet is more ornate. Your consistency of the plating is better for blunt force trauma or piercing trauma. Like there are things that are everything about you is measurable, and it's not a thing where you can retreat into subjective faffing. So technologists hate subjective judgment because they never get the benefit of subjective judgment. The technologist always has to push things forward. They're always dominating their predecessor. They're constantly on a power high. And
that can't be healthy.
A proper technologist is also fairly aware of everything in the chain. So it is a comprehensive tradition. It's not like, oh, there was some magic that my grandfather knew and this is what I'm going to do. It's like, no, you actually understand it. Now, whether it's some magic or not, right? Like if I'm building a circuit, I don't actually know the purity of the copper and how to make it that pure. Obviously, there's stuff that's missing.
Yeah.
So this is where it comes to the Mechanicus. The Mechanicus is actually pretty well known for their lack of understanding of how the technology works. But their rituals are there. The mindset of a technologist versus a Mechanicus is that it takes tremendous amount of effort to become one of us. And we watch people wash out. I was once an intern for a 3-letter agency when I was in high school. And the tests were it was like, can you pass an interview? Can you pass a polygraph? And can you type 40 words a minute without making a mistake? So, and it was just like a new rule that you're allowed to hit the backspace key. Okay. So 40 words a minute is like nothing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It was just to see if you gave a shit. That was it. It was a give a shit test. half of the people washed out. Now, imagine if it's not just a give a shit test. Imagine if it's actually a real legitimate test. And then it goes on for 6 years, constant tests, constant washouts. And then finally at the end, there's you. That is a mechanicus. That is an engineer. That is a technologist. Is that you've seen so many people fail to do what you've done. And the gatekeeping of it is actually pretty profound. And the funny thing is the gatekeeping, the weird thing about technology, especially today, is that you can give the information for free and people still don't, like all of MIT's curriculum is out there for free. You can just consume it and become one of us, but people don't, right? It's just like there's a lot of karate videos on YouTube, but I have yet to see roving bands of karate kids on my street.
Yeah,
So,
but there's a difference between karate and an engineer, to be honest.
knowledge and
like
knowledge and dedication, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's something to be said about the getting a mentor in real life who is actually correcting your mistakes. I know this from dance, like to have somebody there that says you're pointing your foot wrong or you don't have your arms in the correct position. If you continue doing this, you're going to break your leg or
right. Well, there's people that need mentors and people who don't.
Yeah.
Everyone who needs a mentor would not want to deal with. By the way.
Yeah. But I feel like the same thing kind of applies to engineering and getting through the grind. Is there's something you said about getting in those seats and doing the hard work and doing the math. And yeah, you can watch stuff online, but unless you've solved enough problems and, really gone through the crucible, is that really the same thing?
Right. And here's how the doodly is saying, like, most people cannot self-teach. I don't understand that. I actually don't. And from my mindset, this might be part of why the mechanicus and engineers today have very different self-image. Right. So Alex is saying, worth noting, there's a substantial difference between engineering. AdMech initiates are fully submissive, whereas engineers are actually quite rebellious.
This is true.
Right?
And I also think that just by the way you're describing it, like I don't know for sure because like I said earlier, I don't know much about 40K. Sort of, it seems like they're going off of superstition and religion rather than when you talk about engineering, there's some sort of grounding in science. You do have some sort of understanding of how things function, and I don't know where the line is quite with that between the two. In which engineers, it's not some magic; it's actually here's the math, here's how the machines run.
Here's a funny thing is that the AdMech is actually what happens. All right, so I'm going to tell you what the AdMech is. The Adeptus Mechanicus is that it's what happens when you leave technicians in charge of the technology and there are no engineers left. Ironically enough, a proper engineer would consider the AdMech to be shit on their shoe, and just like peasant layman in terms of the engineer who can actually develop and build the technology. This story is very well told in, I forget which Warhammer story it is that there's an AI that gets captured by the AdMech, like an AI that's from the past. It's been in the warp for a while. And the AI actually speaks to the AdMech and tells them exactly what it thinks of them. And this AI is from the dark age of technology, which is the greatest technological time of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Dark Age by the Mechanicus, so it tells you what they think of it.
Yeah,
and this AI just dresses them down. Absolutely. I would probably dress the Mechanicus down, but the thing is, I look at them as a primitive people, like technicians trying to keep this thing going. And yes, like for Cosmo, because Cosmo's not here right now, he'll be back in a bit. Cosmo here is saying that the AdMech are scientists and esotericists. I don't know if I just let my arrogance lay out. Esotericists are primitive barbarians who are trying to understand complex systems, so they can only think in analogies. They can't actually engage in the real thing. An esotericist is someone who personifies a very inhuman system as a way of understanding the inhuman system. They can get some stuff right, but just like you might say that, oh yeah, my television doesn't like to be turned on and unless you hold the volume button down at the same time, right? Or else you're going to get lots of snow on it. Like you're going to get lots of
static.
Static, exactly. Thank you. Well, that's personification. The TV doesn't actually like anything, doesn't give a shit. And you don't actually understand the mechanism upon which this thing turns on and why there's static there. Working with technicians is hit or miss for me. A lot of technicians just do what I tell them to a T. Some technicians give me back sass. I actually like the back sassers better because they seem to understand the system better. In which case that once I get a good relationship with a technician, I just tell them what I'm seeking to do and they figure out how to do it. And they're very good. And usually those technicians, I actually recommend to my boss to be elevated to engineer at some point. So that's what I did when I was at Stanley Black & Decker working in DeWalt Power Tools.
Oh, nice.
We had technicians that were really good. I was like, and they've got the fucking balls to speak up in a meeting with the PhD in motor electronics, physics, and the master's degrees in production design, and then the bachelor's degrees who did all the programming, which is me. Mm-hmm. And this technician would just give his 2 cents, and I was like, man, the balls on this guy, I like him. That's what it takes. There's a lot of guts it requires. However, if you're dealing with technology that's dangerous, like the Adeptus Mechanicus, is they don't like courage. So there's actually a lot of differences between real engineers and the Adeptus Mechanicus. Engineers are not present in the 40K universe. Engineers actually understand what's going on, and
maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bunch of superstitious people. Second off, is that engineers are actually fairly liberal sometimes in their approaches, depending on the schedule. We are slaves to the results.
Yeah. Right? Like I think I had a professor that was like, how accurate an answer you want depends on how much time you have more than anything else. It's like, yeah, you can drop a quick answer real fast, or if you need a week, I can get you down to whatever decimal place.
Mm-hmm. And Alex here is saying that when he meets somebody in the STEM field, my conversation strategy immediately shifts to attempting to suss out whether they are scientists or esotericists. Yes, there are a lot of esotericists. They tend to be the one in the group project that doesn't do shit. But they can read the PowerPoint and they can like convey it in a
See, I got away with actually being the editor, so I technically did do something.
How racist am I allowed to be?
What?
How racist can I be right now? Can I be racist? I'm gonna be racist in present company. Chat. One in the chat if you want me to be a little bit racist. Just once. Just once. I'm gonna give them like 10 seconds for the chat to catch up. Because we're gonna talk about scientists versus esotericists. Okay. I don't see anything in chat. We'll see. Well, I'm just going to go for it. Certain cultures are very authoritative, right? The authoritative. No, we're not going to the ninja wall. Certain cultures are very authoritative, where they just accept what they're told as given, and they don't try to understand the deeper layers underneath, right? They tend to be esotericists. People who respond to authority tend to be esotericists, I think. We'll see what Alex thinks as well when he gets back. But and feel free to chime in. That I tended to find that the foreign students from like communist China and India would just take whatever the professor says as a given, and they would actually trip them up really bad because they would either not understand or the professor gave them a simplified version that on the exam was challenged by a new. By the way, professors in engineering love to break the convention of their classroom on the exam.
Yep.
Like, what happens? Yeah, like what happens? Yeah, so you know,
Yeah.
like what happens if you have air friction now? What happens? And the professor just wants to see you sweat.
Oh Lord, there was one professor that I had that always made his tests when he was angry at his farm animals, and it would always be something squirrely, and it's like, oh, I can solve this, and then like a few lines down, it's like, oh crap, where's this figure? I need this figure.
Yeah, they'll hide stuff in
Yeah.
their exams. And it
Yeah.
changes the whole game.
Yep.
Or they will hide something that is trivial if you understand what you see. I had one professor who was trying to ask, like, what is the pressure at this point in a water tank? But the water tank was under motion, under acceleration. Well, if you could do a bunch of really complicated pressure whatnots, or you could just take the acceleration vector, adjust it for the motion, and then calculate the pressure from first principles. And it was like a 2-line thing. But if you tried to go from water pressure and then add different terms, it would be this massive thing. And in other words, you have to just change the definition of what is up when it comes to water pressure when you're in a non-Newtonian reference frame.
Yeah.
And students who didn't get it sat there writing like a bunch of fucking idiots. Me being Mr. like half Chinese, half Midwestern, like solve that shit real quick. And the professor says, I think I did it okay. Look around at the crowd who's still like sweating bullets. And I'm like, see you guys later, I guess. And it was a bunch of foreign students. The American engineers tend to be the best. Like if they can get through the gauntlet. And most of the gauntlet is just your discipline.
You know,
or obsession.
This is going to sound like a total digression, but I actually changed. I woke up this morning with a revelation that caused me to change my mind on my position on the importance of metaphysical free will.
Okay.
And it did not come from the metaphysics. My opinion had been that the metaphysical question of free will is actually a very low yield discussion, because wherever you land on it, dissecting the arguments, whether you are a free will believer or a determinist, neither answer will really change your actions. But what hit me is, oh my God, it's Chesterton's fence. If you do not have a culture that is consistently reinforcing free will and all of the technologies that are built on top of that, such as moral shame or moral culpability and responsibility, you essentially wind up with a much more primitive culture, and almost like and your society, unless you are vehemently making the case for metaphysical free will as an embedded part of the culture, you will wind up with
Rampages of leftists.
No, you'll wind up with barbarians. You'll get Hindus and not Christians.
I see.
And not this is not a sweeping generalization on all Hindus and Christians. I recognize that there are people who are more or less agentic, but the manner in which you're. Oh God, hold on. I gotta go deal with something. The cats are fighting.
Okay.
But this is relevant to this conversation, because you can tell the people for whom authority and knowledge are the same, and it's related to this free will question.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to try and extrapolate from there. The fun thing about Alex having to jump in and jump out is that I get to go out on the diving board, and Alex can either bring me back in, or he could just kick me off. And I have to riff. So what he's done is he's posed the university question: knowledge as authority. What does that mean versus free will? Right. That's the question now.
I'm kind of a free will person.
What I'm saying is, like, does knowledge give you free will? That's an interesting question. Is it not? I would say the Adeptus Mechanicus definitely does not have a lot of free will. It happens sometimes, but it's so closely guarded, and the knowledge is gate kept. But it depends on what knowledge. But I would say knowledge itself, to me, knowledge is a tool, and that's why these Silicon Valley types are like living tools, and that's how they live.
I agree with you. I think knowledge is more of a tool. I think that really a free will is a consequence of having choices.
Yeah, Hadley Dooley says it. Yeah, Hadley Dooley says it binds you more than gives you free will. I mean, knowledge is actually pretty important. I would say, let's take the extremes. Let's do like a physics lesson would, right? A physics lesson would take the boundary conditions. Boundary conditions. Let's say you have zero knowledge, or just enough to survive. Do you have free will? Well, you're essentially an animal at that point, aren't you? I mean, you know nothing. You have no self-concept. You have no philosophy. You don't know what like polygamy versus monogamy is. There's a lot of things that lack of knowledge will reduce you'll have no free will really.
You won't have the technical backbone to effectuate your will.
If you even, I mean, can you even conceive of a will without sufficient knowledge? Like, do you require knowledge to even have will at all?
No.
Yeah. But if you have tons of knowledge,
no. I mean, you don't need knowledge to have will. However, you may not draw sufficient distinction to distinguish between phenomena to have ability to act effectively. Babies have like no knowledge. They have wills, but they don't necessarily have the context to act effectively.
Right. Your knowledge of the world actually allows you to effectuate your will, but
yeah,
doesn't it also?
Yeah, knowledge is power in that sense because it is the ability to carry out your will.
Well, it's like the peak of human free will would probably be something like taming a field for cultivation or taming an animal for domestication, right. But you must have some level of knowledge of what those things are. I feel like the human free will, I think, has a relationship with knowledge. However, like I'm gonna use the college thing here because Howdly Doodly is like college students swamped with classes. I think the Mechanicus is basically like a college student swamped with classes. They have so much esotericism and so much ritual that they must remember, and it's a little bit like the Chinese mandarins who have some thousands of characters they must memorize. And the characters are all just a shit test, I think. Like a lot of them are just a shit test. Like, are you sophisticated enough? Same thing with English vocabulary. Like English vocabulary, like, is she carefree or is she mellifluous? Right? Well, that's going to tell your social class based on which word you use. You know, is it a red autumn or is it auburn? I don't know. Like it reveals your social class.
Right. But so and to benign number station's point, we all have free will, but you have to be wise to use it correctly. I was actually like the metaphysical free will question is backseat super important to creating cultural technologies that orient you toward personal responsibility. I've been for a while significantly more interested in the conversation for psychological free will, which almost no one has.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
What is psychological free will? Like the ability to think and conceive and to invent thought?
No. The ability to not be constrained by what you believe you know, or be constrained by your own ideas, beliefs about yourself, enduring self-concept, etc., to act in ways contrary with the stimuli you received and the person you became to survive them.
Well, that sounds a bit superhuman, doesn't it? It sounds like almost like a prophet.
Yes. It sounds a bit like a Superman.
A Nietzschean Superman. I'm just kidding.
No, yes, specifically. psychological
Well,
free
they still
will
have, like, all coded.
involves having transvaluated all values.
Which is an interesting thing because it's actually very difficult to defend that, because the first thing someone's going to say is like, well, are you that person? Like, have you lived that? Have you seen that? They'll like, it doesn't have any authority to go with it that normal people would recognize. However, other people who are supermen can entertain
But
it.
What it has is somebody who is far more effective in their life, and it is actually kind of magnetic and extremely attractive.
Oh, I see. We're the founding fathers of America, Nietzsche and Superman. That's an interesting topic that maybe we should broach at some point, because America continues to just retard its way through history and just completely outwit everybody. And it's a bizarre miracle that this thing is continuing to last. But it seems that someone with almost divine knowledge of how to set up a government, as shaky as America is. By the way, people keep shouting about Civil War. I bet you every 20 years of America's existence, someone shout about Civil War. We are not a very tight nation. That is a new phenomena. Which, by the way, the new phenomena immediately fell apart pretty quickly. To the point where we refer to states as red or blue, which is the most team-based, colorized, simple, troglodyte way of putting your politics and your, who is your friend and who is your enemy. Anyways.
We're a nation that loves football.
Anyways, yeah. So, the funny thing is that the Adeptus Mechanicus actually says that there is no further knowledge beyond what we've had. Like beyond what can be found. So you are a slave to archaeology, essentially. So free thought is directly discouraged. It's actually heretical and will get you decommissioned or killed. So
sad panda.
Well, that's how it goes, right? Because the technology they're dealing with is it's like so dangerous and scalable. You're riding a dragon when you're dealing with technology, and we know that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to go on a tangent a little bit with this. I'm going in the same direction, but it's kind of an inverse idea. There's a video game series I've actually been doing a lot of work with the developers with, called the My Time series. So there's My Time at Porsche, My Time at Sandrock, and now My Time at Evershine. And sort of basically the setting of these games is a post-apocalyptic setting, and it's been like, I want to say 300 years since the apocalypse. They're living in the ruins of a much more advanced civilization where they have these robots that are sort of magic, and also these monsters that were created through DNA experimentation on this world. And they very much have the concept of technology has destroyed us before, therefore we're not going to do what our ancestors did. Instead, we're going to invest in quote-unquote green technology and do a lot of the hippy-dippy growing and stuff. And this is called like the main religion of the world, which is the Church of Light. And then they have the Research Center, which is basically a bunch of architects. And they basically dig up these data disks of the old age, where you give them to the Research Center, and then they give you blueprints from the old age to build things. And so there's this whole dichotomy going on that's sort of what you're presenting here versus the technology versus we should go back to anti-tech and doing what we know because technology itself is so dangerous it destroyed us before.
Right. I mean, I think that's essentially the same kind of tension that there is, here. I think part of the issue is that our contemporary technologist class, like the Adeptus Mechanicus, is like really, really narrow in its domain of understanding, and consequences are something that falls out of, in the sort of Jurassic Parkish way, fall out of their domain of experience or importance. I mean, a lot of the like technology is escalating to a dangerous extent is actually because the technologists are highly knowledgeable within narrow segments, but not really broadly knowledgeable. Again, it's sort of the Thomas Sowell knowledge and decisions thing. Versus their ancestors, they can be said to know a great deal less. Just the industrial civilization around them economizes on their need to know things. And one of the things that enables a distinct formation of tribes like this is that actually on some level the culture is disintegrating. In that it's, you know, disintegrating. Previous eras, you know, one of my go-tos for extremely well integrated societies is Renaissance Italy, where they were really good at incorporating their fringe weirdos, and you know, the pursuit of technical knowledge was also integrated with the religion and the society at large. It seems to me, and this may just be a result of increasing specialization and technical sophistication, that you are forming breakaway societies that believe themselves to be omnipotent because they are, after a sense, in their own domain, but have very little understanding of the world beyond their domain, and therefore inflict consequences on everyone else very cheaply to them.
Oh yeah, they are essentially they are the human version of the AI that makes paperclips. Like they don't know what else to do. And also they think that it's a great thing if the world is just awash in paperclips. They consider that complete market capitalization. They will. All right. So from a technologist perspective, it is the dislike of the layman, right, comes from the fact that they didn't have to go through what you went through. Culturally, especially in America, they kind of treat your technologists a bit like shit. Like Vivek wasn't wrong that the culture in America is actually kind of anti-intellectual, anti-technologist. That you face a lot of headwinds trying to become an engineer. You'll get like a lot of attaboys, but you don't. All societal value comes down to your sexual selection portfolio. Okay, so like, how do engineers get sexually selected? Well, they see that generalists get a lot better results, and you'll see this like you'll see it on Reddit, you'll see it on X, you'll see it wherever. These guys who are just angry at women because they can't get with women is because they're not a full person. They made
and they'll often become resentful because, you know, essentially the path to success and effectiveness is becoming the specialist, and you're confronted with a bunch of people who are more successful.
Correct.
Essentially break your metaphysics.
All the metrics, yeah, exactly. All the metrics are disjointed between actual people and what the system is willing to financially reward you with, or give you status for. Right. So this is why that's like the guys are angry at Chad. I've changed my opinion. By the way, unlike most people, I do change my opinion based on. Is this a weird thing? All right, am I crazy? Does it that most people don't change their opinion based on new information? They'll just like continue on with the same shitty opinion.
That is not a weird thing. That is a common experience.
I've been common. It is common for me to be talked out of I'm the final boss of a video game that like you can pass a speech check, and I'm like, oh shit, I'll just fuck off then. It's like, whoops. Oh, I've done that multiple times. I've usually when I go hyper conflict with somebody, that is how I resolve it, right? Like,
which is epistemologically sound. You go into every debate wanting to be proved wrong, and you do that by advancing the strongest case possible, and you go until somebody beats you.
Hyper pressure. Anybody who folds to me, I don't respect. If you're irrationally against me and you just stick to your guns, I'm actually kind of okay with that. I'm like, all right. Your irrationality versus my irrationality. We'll see you last longer. Fine with that. If you're actually able to rationally and irrationally defeat me, I'm like, Well, I guess I'm your beta male now. What do you want me to do?
Well,
What's
it's
my boss now?
I mean, you experience the joy in inheriting a newer, stronger belief or understanding. I mean, like, oh, great. I have been freed from error. I am, free to pass on and
Correct,
continue
yeah.
to now test the limits of this new frontier.
So a bit of gratitude. I was also the village's son, right? Like I had a lot of father figures growing up. And you can't do that unless you're fairly plastic with who you're willing to give authority to. So anyway,
So what is this about Chad?
What's that?
You were talking about your new theory about Chad and these guys that are upset.
No, I have a new. So my mind was changed. I used to be on the side of Vivek 100% in terms of his like big crash out, as they call it. I was like, yeah, this makes sense actually what Vivek is saying. I realize now that the Viveks are wrong, is that the nerds are actually wrong and they need to be more broad. And you're supposed to live a full and rich childhood, or like you're supposed to have like a lot more volition towards something productive. But if you go in full productive and just min-max your build, you're a miserable cunt. And you're no good to anybody. You're actually extremely dangerous. It's better to be useless. I would rather be a landscaper than be an amazing Silicon Valley dude who just destroys tens of thousands of jobs for a thing that's going to fritter away in a couple of years anyway.
Something I've found actually this happens. This emerges in group dynamics as well. I have found, because often in role-playing games, people will like min-max their character. And I have found in tabletop role-playing games, the person who actually does not min-max and creates effectively a generalist almost inevitably winds up becoming the main character of the story very, very naturally.
Well, the thing is, the min-max people are just tools. And this is what I'm saying. Is like, when I was a kid, I was programmed to be a tool.
Liberal education versus servile education.
Benign number station says a society does not allow for ease. A society does not allow for ease of their youth, and society is an error. I'm going to rephrase this as that youth should be made easy, and to do otherwise is an error. I would disagree with that. It should be moderately difficult to be a youth, but there should be most of youth. Most of mentorship is actually filtration. I was like, okay, what kind of if you're a blacksmith and you meet a really smart person, you might send them to the alchemist. You also might just throw them in the deep end. Ironically, the ones who are the smartest is the ones you should treat more like shit. Because first off, they need the humility. Second off, they can handle it. Third off, they need someone to rebel against, and they're fitting to replace you. Everyone else is there to obey you, and therefore you make like the slaves get the sweetest food, right? It is the explorers and the pioneers and the vanguard that get hardtack in some ship's hole. Like if you were to
the thing about childhood that is not hard that it's very conducive to is free play. Free play is immensely valuable for experimentation, coming to a mastery of your cognitive and physical capacities, like harnessing your imagination, et cetera, et cetera. Childhood also needs to be graduated such that it is concerned with cultivating you into an adult. But it should not dismiss or throw out free play.
Yeah, and this is why one of my things of my the cult that I always have in my mind is that we consider heavenly worship contemporary to be going to church and all that stuff. That's fine, I guess. I don't denigrate that whatsoever. However, many people worship in different ways. That might be your day for gardening, might be your day for painting, might be the day that for me and my wife, actually, we spend Sundays writing fiction. We're writing a fun fiction right now of I'll give a spoiler, I guess. It's one called The Jingle. And what happens when a salesman makes a deal with the devil, that when they hear the jingle, they want the product. Okay, that's great. Well, the product's available. What happens when the product's not available anymore? What happens to that urge? And what are the wider implications of the jingle? And it ends up like we've created we accidentally created. I started as a fun it was like a fun thing for me. I was like, what happens if that happened? Like a fun fried chicken joint has a jingle. And it turned out like if you take it to its most extreme, you've just reinvented the SCP Foundation and like a lot of like other shit because you've created essentially a mind control set of notes that can be triggered in anybody, and you have to satisfy it. So, and what happens if you don't satisfy it? It's like what happens when you have an urge to eat something and then it just continues to fester for months and months and months. Then there's like that's fun. Free. That's what we do on Sundays. We make stories. Yeah. I sing songs. A lot of people just go to church and then they come back home and pass out. I don't know. I don't understand. It's fine. That's fine. But I think that the worship is creation to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what do you do for the glory, to testify to the glory of God?
Yeah. I would warn, I don't disagree with you, benign number station, but I do warn, this is a concept that you have to think about. A civilization at its peak is also a civilization that has sowed its decline. So when you look at a peak of a civilization, like a Norman Rockwell painting of America, you also have to sit and understand that in that peak, it doesn't get any better than it was right then, right? Therefore, the seeds for its downfall were being sowed in that moment. So whenever I see like the peak of a civilization, I actually see it from two different angles of like, how did these, okay, that's great. These people are living at the zenith, marble columns and gold leaf, whatnot. What did they do to ruin it? Because the next generation didn't go further, obviously. That was the peak. So when I look at the greatest generation of America, I'm like, what did they do to fuck it up and create boomers, essentially? That's my question, because that's the real failure of America actually happened then.
Right. Well, this is also applicable to an individual psychological experience and why it's actually kind of a bad thing to chase peak experience. Because peak experiences essentially do that to your life. And if you want to sort of go up from the golden age, you actually have to cultivate pursuit of mastery, because you'll have peak experiences. You'll have new highs along the way if you commit yourself to mastery rather than the experience of pleasure itself.
Well, the thing is, I've also mentioned, like, as a master, so I want all the fuck ups in my life are my desire to be a mentor and me finding like unfitting mentees. I want to live vicariously through someone who I've trained. I want them to have everything that I've ever had, but easier. That to me would be the highest pleasure in life, is to let someone just do the game over on my save, but like have all my items and just breeze through it. Yeah. That's what I want.
I mean, that's also part of, a fundamentally conservative disposition is you're continuity oriented.
Oh yeah. Not the first or last man in history.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's depressing because I'm having difficulty finding successors. I've tried for like decades, like since I was 18. It's rough.
I've been there too. Different domain, but I've been there too.
I got a feeling I'm going to find it on a farm someplace. There's going to be some homeschooled farm kid who's like absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah, I
don't know. I'm starting the electronics club in my local area fairly soon. Although, also, by the way, I was at the liquor store. By the way, liquor stores in small towns are amazing because I go into this liquor store and the floor is sinking. It's like a I don't know what mathematical function.
Is it bowed in or is it worn down?
Oh, it's bowed in, man. This thing's got water damage. Something's wrong with it. I think I'm hitting rock.
I've been in buildings in Rome where there's just like marble floor or whatever, and you can see the grooves worn by a millennium of foot traffic.
Yeah, I've seen steps like that. By the way, fun fact:
I forget which basilica it's in, but they have a statue of Saint Peter, and it was a tradition to rub his foot for good luck. And eventually, the marble foot became worn down, and they replaced it with a silver foot. And people continued rubbing it. They're on the 5th silver foot.
They're just replacing the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. The benign numbers. I think you're onto something here. I'm not talking about going back to the rock. The thing is, everyone should feel like they're a piece of shit compared to a predecessor, right? I think it's I forget which piece of fiction it was, is that they were looking through some great artists, and the great artist says, I'll never be as good as this person before me. And they looked at that artist, and it was like, I'll never be as good as this person before me. And it goes all the way back to like Da Vinci, and then beyond, like before that.
Oh no, yeah, it goes all the way back to like Zug painting on the cave walls.
Yeah,
I'm the fucking best.
I'll never be Zug, man. Zug was the best. Zug knew what was at. He drew what we felt, not what we saw. It was like, yeah, well, 100%, yeah, 100%. I like that. Yeah. Folly of Youth is built to feature. Yes, the Folly of Youth is absolutely a feature built to do America, and you have to allow it. The sort of Asian way of doing things has its place, but I was never told that my father told me that I would really never be more than a servant. So I was like fully in my life, not just my profession, but my life, servile, which is why I'm a consummate beta male. Like clip that out. I don't give a fuck. I am here to support other men succeeding. I don't give a shit about succeeding myself. I just don't get. I will walk backwards into shitloads of money, and I just sort of put in the bank and say that's nice. I don't actually get any joy out of it. However, if I made somebody else rich, I'd be like, this is awesome. An occasion to drink for. Like good days for you and your family. Wonderful. I want all the things I couldn't have, I want someone else to have. Like, does that make me a beta male, or does that make me a progenitor of civilization? I think
I mean, it can be sneeringly called beta male by people who believe themselves to be the last men. Those people, those people predominate in most times, and they're people that you should not concern yourself with because posterity will not concern themselves with them either.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. They're nowhere. You can have 5 kids, even 12 kids biologically, and most of them will rebel against you and hate your guts. Maybe I can have hundreds of children who are called my mentees, who I've enabled. There's a limit. As a Christian, there's a limitless number of children I can have, and they're just and all my children are brothers. So essentially, that's I don't get this like genetic like propagation. It's good. Genetics are great. I've been told that I have good genetics by a lot of women. I don't care. It's not gonna make it. Listen, the world is not gonna be like worser for it if I don't propagate. But the world will be worser for it if we don't propagate the knowledge of like embedded programming. That's actually a huge deal. That's more important, or like good financial sense, or just a duty to God.
Genetic propagation, like it's entirely possible. It's like a baseline threshold you can't really deal with. So, to some extent, the ability to deal with an increasingly sophisticated society requires some level of, eugenics, not like deliberate eugenics, but the passing on, like some
organic
Darwinian filtration method. But we are much more, as the saying goes, in the world where memes determine far much more than genes.
Yeah.
And there's also like, okay, one of the great things, like if you're committed on the mastery route, and if, like peak experiences just fall out of what you're doing as a byproduct, you do become much more interested in the success of your apprentices and journeymen. And do that as a result of, everywhere in every discipline, your ability to progress in mastery will hit a stall point that you can only bypass by teaching. Because what teaching is when you learn something, it essentially goes into like background pre-rational or often post-rational knowledge. And when you teach, you have to take what is in your mastered, no longer explicit domain, or no longer like post-articulation domain of thought, pull it back into the rational domain, pry it open, articulate it, and in the process of articulating it, you discover room for refinement.
Well, you realize how stupid you are because you can't even say what you believe. You don't even understand what you're doing, right? Which, by the way, the most Mechanicus of the Mechanicus things. By the way, I also say that like the Mechanicus throws out all genetic differences. It seems like because they believe the body to be the enemy. It is pure submission to their credo and pure adherence to their multitude of rituals. As somebody who's I've been in Asian schools and I understand how they're different from Western schools. Western schools are significantly better if you can just have the discipline to pay attention and actually engage with it. Yeah. Asian schools stamp you like you're like you're in a printing press. They just bash you with this thing.
It's everything that the Prussian model was accused of being.
That's fascinating. I don't know about the Prussian model. Well, that's right. The Prussian model is the what became the factory model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with the Western model is actually you try to create too many elites when there just isn't a supply for it. As you said, the Aristotelian preordained slave class.
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily preordained, but like freedom is something that a lot of people come to late in life or may not necessarily be preoccupied with in their youth. And the way we gatekeep and control education, like particularly higher education, has been like everybody should get it, and like not everybody's ready for it, and that will necessarily make the education worse.
We're an hour late, but here's my rant. I think about of the different engineers who are enrolled in the programs, I think 10% actually belong there, and you can measure it by looking at their
would
dorm.
wager that's right.
Yeah,
and like most of the ones who don't but could make it there probably belong being technicians and then being elevated,
and they'd be more happy for it, to be honest.
Yeah, they honestly would. I think our model of higher education actually makes a lot of people fucking miserable. I mean, like look at people with with any sort of like grievance studies discipline. They're actually being made fucking miserable.
100%. When
I was drowning in debt and have no job prospects.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I have a special. If you know what an interrupt is, a software interrupt, it actually stops the processor and then prioritizes the subject. Anytime Luna speaks, because she speaks so rarely compared to the rest, I speak too much. Alex Cosmo speaks the right amount. Luna speaks too little.
I don't know about that.
So whenever Luna speaks, I immediately shut up and try to let her speak, and then we'll try to like bring her up. And I try not to interrupt you, but like that's my order of operations. The dorm rooms of the engineers will tell you who belongs there. They should really just do I almost said dorm invasion. That's a different thing. They should just do a dorm inspection where they like look to see what you're doing, because you cannot be a real engineer and let it go, because you are fucking drunk on the power of domination of physical phenomena. You have to do it. You have to keep doing it. You need to take the stuff that you've learned in class and try to apply it. Every single class is not an inconvenience. It is a addition to your power. And in fact, you are not satisfied with the teacher's teaching. You want more. You want more power. You want more power all the fucking time. To the point where like the machine shop guys, like the mechanical engineers, were all building AR-15s just straight up. They didn't give a fuck. Some of them did it for a job. They actually worked for a military subcontractor. I built rocket ships. I built payloads. I think I designed like 50 different unique circuit boards, and I was unstoppable. I could not stop. I didn't sleep barely at all. I didn't drink any alcohol. I didn't engage in anything. I told women to go fuck themselves. I was like, I had no time for their shit. I was like, you want to? I basically put all the women who liked me into work. And by the way, me being completely unavailable to women drove them insane. And they continue to like, women do the opposite of whatever is good for women. I guarantee you that. They all went after me. The woman I ended up marrying was like, she went to community college and she worked in a warehouse, but she was honest with me, and that was it. I was like, all right, you're honest. You're on board. And I never thought she would actually be my wife, but like she'll do. This is not some. I did not want to marry another. No engineer should ever marry another engineer. That's fucking miserable. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. You need someone who's willing to like be a human being while you are a psychopath.
Wisdom from my older sisters. Like I said, I come from a family of scientists and engineers, and there are 6 girls, 3 boys. So a good chunk of those women were scientists and engineers. And they were basically like, yeah, if you don't want to be miserable, you need to find a husband who is not in your field.
Yeah.
You need to find somebody who's an expert, definitely.
Who said it before? It's like, my wife always joked around with me, is like, don't ask an engineer about something because they'll explain it to you. It doesn't matter what she will often say, like, Alex, you seem so knowledgeable about this. I was like, that was pure speculation. I was making shit up, but it sounds pretty damn good. And that comes in handy with talking to my boss. It's like, I'm actually
fucking mansplaining, and the accusation of mansplaining is like, no, that's
Ladies
just men explaining things. Like when a man explains things to you, he is giving you his internal monologue straight up. This is what it is like inside his head, and he's just giving you what's inside his head. And it turns out women fucking hate that.
They're not cut out for it. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. You got a certain level. You got to be this autistic to get in.
Part of it is okay. The wiring in women's brains is kind of weird. I kind of wonder if mine's messed up, but anyway. So basically, for us to think, we have to talk to each other, or not necessarily think, but it helps significantly. So when we're trying to, generalize concepts of the world, it really helps to talk to somebody else. That's why girls generally have their girlfriends and they have these social conversations with each other to bounce off ideas. That's our brains functioning properly.
I will never to. I hate the earth, and I hate the earth so much that I built a woman, my wife, who is willing to believe that she is right without talking to anybody. And she's going to make you all aware of how right she is. I don't know why it is like ladies have to seek consensus before because I feel like you have a conception of the world as anybody would have it, man or woman, right? But it's like you don't want to let it out until you've like run it past somebody. Whereas men will just be like, this is my stream of consciousness, unfiltered.
But there's sort of a social etiquette to it too. When you have 2 women that are speaking on a topic, they're sort of like
I was just imagining. Sorry, I was like, the pistons of the steam engine on this train, they've got to be coated in some sort of chromium because chromium is self-healing and it's actually creates a seal that's really, really good. And there's a lot of different things in here, which is why you would never have someone of the African persuasion ever man this thing. And then you're also going to make sure that the levers here, they have to be ergonomic enough that be reached. Like what? What did you just say? That's the mind of an engineer is completely unfiltered. Like the mind of a man. It's like you just say horrendous shit in the middle of like dry technical detail.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of people get lost, and there's, like I said, there's a social etiquette for how women process these thoughts, and men do not adhere to it at all. I don't think you guys get it or understand it all. You just keep running, and that's what drives women crazy. It's sort of like you're not adhering to the biological rules of how this is supposed to work.
I mean, it is, it's basically all down to, not all down to, but like so much of it is pre-encoded biologically, like the cheap generalist versus the expensive specialist. Like biologically, males have wider variance than females in almost everything, because they're the ones to experiment on genetically. They are far less essential and biologically expensive to get to do their thing.
When you have one of them that's actually fitting the bill for the moment, they understand exactly how valuable they are,
right?
And they will just
versus women being far more expensive and far more specialized, essentially need to perpetually be safe. This goes from physical endurance to social danger and social threat. It is all about security, and with relative disparity to men in physical strength, the security is mostly achieved by social means and consensus.
Luna, this is why Gaston gets to be disgusting. He has the privilege of being disgusting. It is our privilege to be disgusting.
I do not like Gaston. Oh my god. And the thing is that it's sort of like
literally me.
Oh my god. I would have strangled. Nope, I'm not gonna strangle you.
When I was an undergrad, I had my equations erased off the board while I was working on them, right? By an older student who said, "I don't need this baby shit. Fuck this," and he just erased it all. And I was just like, they're spellbound, like, oh, this was because it was in the study room. I just sat there and watched it. And then I became the senior student. And I understood the imperfection of my naivete and the imperfection of my social mores. And I became an asshole.
Yeah.
who makes his face Chad move.
Back to the Gaston thing, like Beauty and the Beast is really a master of the devils in the details. And it's sort of like a lot of my objections to Gaston are in a lot of the details. It's things like how he treats Belle, how he treats other people, his ego.
You must understand that he's coming from a place of being the top male in the village.
Yeah.
And what he's doing, okay, so that book is her baby, right? That's what she considers to be quite sacred. She loves that book. He is doing what
another copy of that book again.
He is doing what a lion does to a lioness's cubs.
Yes, exactly.
When he takes and takes and takes. It is not
and see that's
is that a biological function of men that we just destroy women's passions and like life's work? That's
I feel like that's really evil.
Well, so like, here's the thing.
There's for the propagation of life.
There's
it is evil.
This is this is the baseline on top of which this is the baseline dynamic on top of which
it feels so good.
But like memes progressively come to displace genes, and this includes, for example, when we were talking about Dracula, for instance, and the production of an incredibly high-tech male and the production of an incredibly high-tech female. Those lion type dynamics, are not. They're not permanent. They're just the baseline you start from, and much iterates out from them, but and should inform your technological decisions. But that's the high-tech male and high-tech female. And it's actually interesting how much we've retrogressed technologically in that domain since the 19th century.
I want to seize upon this opportunity.
Oh no.
Oh, yes. What? Is this not like a woman coming into a man's life and throwing away his tabletop turn-based figurines into the trash and saying, "You must be a man. You must care for a family now. It is time to move on from these childish things."
Oh my God, you were talking about my post on X, aren't you?
No, I have no... What?
Oh God, you haven't seen that?
I have no idea.
That exact post. I was talking about how this is basically the male equivalent of a girl who's not even your girlfriend coming in, throwing out your 40K figurines and saying,
oh, really?
Oh, it's just a bunch of plastic. Why don't you marry me?
This is why you're on the show, because you're like fucking, you're tapped in. You have you have the ability to tap into what a man's brain is, but I think you resist it. And I think you despise it. However, we embody it. we also despise it.
It doesn't work in my favor ever.
It does not. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Most gifts are actually curses. Don't ever want to be gifted. 100 IQ, 0 hobbies, interests outside of like the football. 100 IQ football guy is absolutely blessed.
The hostess at the restaurant. Like, anyway. I think this is I'm kind of
Man who likes a steak well done. He's the inheritor of this fucking civilization, and I hate it. I hate every minute of it.
I don't hate it. I'm just depressed. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Dude who went to state school. He's a middle manager. Well, he's not even a middle manager, but he just lives for football on the weekend. He's actually unironically the guy who I'm buoying. And frankly, I met that guy, and I think he's all right. He's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine being replaced. Whatever.
Well, that's the thing is it's also not just one world that we live in, and in fact, your world ought to be a bit of a curated environment. My old boss used to say the world's not small; it's just thin at the top. Mm. Like in order to live well, you do need to exercise some curation over the world that you are in.
Some people like their steak. There's actually a Black channel that's like the Negro perspective. It's 2 hours. I don't give a shit. That's what they describe themselves as. It's like the Negro perspective, and they explain why Black people like well done steaks. I haven't watched that video yet, but I think it's going to be fascinating. I will send you guys the channel, by the way, because if it's in earnest of the Black people perspective, that's fucking fascinating. If they're just giving it to us in earnest, but yes.
Oh my god! Now I'm hungry. I may duck out so I can get some food.
For well done
steaks. My mother was planning steaks tonight, and that sounds really good.
Gaston isn't a villain. He's just a dude. By the way, Dirty Engineer. He's just a dude. He's a dude doing dude shit.
I don't know.
Sometimes we do dude shit.
It depends on what. I
don't know. Sometimes guys do stuff, and I'm just like, I'm glad I'm single.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about like curating, who is in your world. I mean, the Ariel part of your world song, I guess. But man, you see it with people like exposure to the bottom 20th percentile really changes people and changes their perspectives very radically. Like if you look at people like Radfem Hitler, or you particularly see it in women like Diane Yap, like being exposed to, because they become rabidly anti-man very quickly because they're super active online, and there's really no serious discrimination filter, so they get disproportionately exposed to the bottom 20% of men versus what they would otherwise, and they turn into like
goblins,
super misandrous very, very quickly, just because of what their exposure is. Like,
absolutely.
If you don't want to be miserable, curate your fucking world.
Yep.
No, that's why I said about most men and women who are like complaining about the opposite sex is like you're actually just not allowed into that top 20 percentile that is absolutely fucking lovely. Best environment I've ever had as a sexual marketplace was when I was a Mormon. I was a Mormon for like a year, and there's a singles ward, and these women took it seriously. Mm-hmm. I'm talking they did the cooking, they were fit, they did their makeup, they were presenting themselves well, they were strategic, absolute killers, every one of them. Fantastic. If you had the goods, and are also, by the way, they're also the only demographic that ever gave only Western demographic that cared that I was an engineer, because they recognized what that meant and they could extrapolate on it. Whereas other women were like, well, they were going after they were going for the second cookie after 5 minutes, not the one cookie right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but at my college, it was a whole thing of the girls that were getting MRS degrees, and they would sit outside the engineering building. Like, part of the reason that I had trouble finding a boyfriend in college, even though I was like one girl in a class of like 50 or 100, where the vast majority were men, is like, oh yeah, so I was, going to the student center, and then this hot chick, makes all my meals, gives me massages, tells me how great I am, while they're in school, because she definitely wants him to get that engineering degree while she gets her MRS degree. Like, that was very much a thing where I went.
You guys heard of founder hounders?
There you go. You like my new background. Anyways,
Oh, you stepped into the virtual background.
there we go. Nah, just for a minute. I have one that was
Let's
just
see if I can
flames.
try and find this.
You go for it. Yeah, take a minute.
Sorry.
All right, founder
Oh.
hounders. Is that people who
I'm
are
not
like
gonna
looking for
find
people who are looking for founders?
Yeah.
Chinese
And
spies, in other words.
they'll make sex contingent on IPO.
Oh my god. Well,
Why?
these things, these guys.
These are women that are basically like extreme performance coaches. Because the ambition is I want a husband who will not just win, but win to an extreme extent.
Well, it's the funniest shit because a lot of these guys are absolute suckers. Like technical dudes are definitely starved for that, and they rely on women to essentially fulfill their lives. They are the opposite of the Heinleinian man who's able to get his life together, and they need a woman to complete them. Any man that needs a woman to complete them is not a man. Oh, that's pretty rough, but yes, it's true. Like women want finished goods. Women don't want half of a man.
That's kind of true.
Cosmo is typing in the chat because I've been saying some crazy shit in there.
Yeah, I've been reading that. Why I'm so quiet is I'm like, what the hell? How can you talk and type like that at the same time?
That's the funniest shit. Yes, the women don't want a half of a man. They want a whole man, or they want a man that is just simply impressive above his peers. Here's how pathetic it's gotten. When my wife married me, I was the only man who had like a vision for his future, like a plan of some sort. That was the bar. I was reasonably attractive, I guess. I wasn't like some fat ass or some weirdo. Okay. I did not cut I used to cut my own hair. Okay. So I wasn't like styling and profiling. Okay. I did drive a motorcycle though, which was a big plus, I guess. But like, yeah, I was the only person that she knew that had a plan for the future and some sort of vision of what I wanted to be. And that was it. Like the bar is so low. What women want is a man that knows what he wants to become and is working on getting there. And I have to feel for women these days because the quality of men is so below that.
Now I'm kind of tempted to go on a rant about some of the guys that I've been on dates with or that tried to date me. And I feel bad about it, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh my God, what are you people doing?
I'm gonna take like 10 minutes for that. Enjoy that for a second, because like it is funny as hell. I would love the thing is I don't want you to have like a limited time, but I think it'd be fun to talk about because I have a script in the works right now that is like, what is a man? Like, how do you be a man? Okay. And I think it's an absolute requirement. Like, it's not something that's changed since the days of Odysseus to the days of Palmer Luckey. It's the same thing. Like, to be a man.
I'm debating which horror story I should start with. Probably. Okay, I'll start with one of my childhood friends who I had a crush on for a long time until he was homeschooled and he had a sister. And his sister was like the one girl for a long time. Finally, like they had 7 kids. The guy I liked was the oldest. The sister was the second oldest. And then there was a long chain of boys. And then at the end, there was another girl, but that was later. So basically, everyone in the family rolled over for this girl and basically handed her everything she wanted because if she didn't get what she wanted, she'd scream. And I was basically the only person in this girl's life who would tell her no. And so many a times we got into fights where she tried to embarrass me and her brother would take her side. And I'm looking at him like, you know better. You know she's wrong. And he's like, yeah, well, I have to live with her. And that was the big turn off. I look at him and I get it because I have older siblings. I'm also never going to date you ever. And that was the start of it. Because years later, after I was like, oh no, nah.
I once
Years later, he fell for me and was trying to get me to date him for years, and I was like, absolutely not. And so, at one point, he invited me to go to a movie with his family and was like, oh yeah, it'll be me and my brothers and my sister. We'll all be there to go see this movie. Want to come? And he didn't tell me what movie it was either. So I go there, and there's no one there but him. And it's like, oh, it's just you and me. And I'm like, where are your siblings? I'm like, I thought the whole family would be here. No, it's just him, because it was totally planned to be a date. I'm like, you lied to me. And then it was the movie that he got, like, he paid for in advance, which was actually nice. But it was Transformers 2. Have you guys seen that movie?
Oh, good Lord.
I was like,
good Lord.
I think I was like 15. And I was
brought a girl to see Full Metal Jacket. Don't worry about
it. There are movie dates that are like there are movie dates that are like troll movie dates.
And so
it's like the kind of movie date you take a woman to as a test.
Yeah, I'm fucking with you right now. I tried to God, I have to censor myself so much online. There's a girl I wanted to fool around with, and we went to one movie, and we were like, oh shit, there's a lot more people than we thought. I was like, what's a stupid ass movie that's out at the time? Oh shit, March of the Penguins. No one's gonna be in that. We go in that theater. It's packed to the gills. I couldn't believe it. Who the fuck gives a shit about penguins? But we sat there and watched a fantastic movie narrated by Morgan Freeman about penguins. I was like, well, I'm not getting any action, but these penguins are sure cute. Anyways, like Transformers 2.
Yeah.
This man is autistic. What is going on?
And I was like, oh my God, why would you take me to this movie, especially if you've seen it once before and you know what type of person I am?
There's a funny diatribe on movies for women. You don't take them to a romantic movie. It's one of those movies where you got to take them to a movie that's not actually very interesting. Like, you got to take them to, like, I'm gonna make
Transformers 2.
Okay, Luna. Well, the thing is, this man may have failed to be more interesting than Transformers 2, which is a very oof.
Oh no, the thing about Transformers 2 is it was very man movie, and there was lots of boobs and sexual poses and Megan Fox and clothes.
More for you to compete with. Perfect.
What?
No, more for you to compete with. That's triggers the competitive instinct.
And I was just like, this is gross. Why do you like this movie? That was kind of I was a teenager. I was like 15, 16 when it was in theaters. And he thought it was a great idea. And so I was like, number one,
all right. There weren't that many boobs in Transformers 2. Were there?
No, but I was a teenager.
There's a couple. I plead the fifth.
Okay.
My teenage activities. I was a humongous nerd, and I was all right. Okay. I am shocked. You should be more like a French Catholic. I think the French got Catholicism right. They were like,
oh my
probably
God,
like married at 15, pregnant at 14 and a half. That seems like the right way to go.
No.
There's a lot of that in Italy too.
What was there?
Yeah, there is a lot of that in Italy.
I could thrive there. I'd probably work at who's the gun company? Beretta? Yeah, they got a good stuff going on.
Man, yeah. This is the thing that, like, you come out against Catholicism so hard, but all the best places to live are Catholic. Like, all the pleasant parts of Germany are all Catholic.
Oh, is that right? Well, pleasant part, sure, it's the Shire, but like we got other problems. Also, the pleasant parts of America are just Protestant, but they're not like they're a certain type of Protestant. Like I just like Appalachia. They understand it. It's not what I'm saying is it's not mutually exclusive. Okay. And the thing is, I say that I like Catholics who are just full on Catholic. I don't like this Catholic stuff where it's like, oh, I don't like the world church, but I like my local church. No, go full in on the Pope. Tell me to my face the Pope is the voice of God, and then call me a heretic or something like that, and tell me I have to just deal with it. I'd be okay with that. I was like, okay, you believe what you say. All right, great. Now don't be like apologetic Catholic. Say what?
I said that's not accurate.
Oh, what? I don't know. What is it? What is it? What is the Pope then?
The servant
He's
of the
an
servant
authority.
of Christ.
Was that? I'm sorry. I'm apologize.
I mean,
The servant of the
Catholics are
servants of
also
Christ.
Catholics are also on their 10th straight year of biting their tongue about the Pope. So
Yeah.
That's what you gotta, you just go for it. Fuck it. Make it work. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy. There's a lot of crazy shit in Christianity itself that I have to like make work. Love my enemy. You have any idea how many years it took me to like internalize that? Or I'm just biting my tongue. I gotta bite my tongue so much. Get mounted to a cross. Because Christianity is basically the most unintuitive religion there is if you're doing it right. You should feel.
we gotta do some Rene Girard at some point.
Okay, I'll put him on the list. Rene Girard.
Yeah, probably most accessible and like shorter books of his. It delivers. It's also late in his career, so it delivers a really mature version of his theory. Is I see Satan fall like lightning.
Oh, you recommended that before. I have that in my
Yes.
bookmark. Okay. All right. Noted. Oh, it's a PDF. You can just download that shit. It's awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm a sucker and paid for it on Audible. that's also because like I've been for like the however many credits a month for like 11 years, and I have like credits coming out of my ears, and I just get random shit.
Yeah, I'm in that train too. That's what I'm saying is like, yeah, like if you're gonna be Catholic, just go fucking ham. I actually respond better to that, just purely non-rational. It's like, he's our dude. Fuck you. Join up. I love you. I love you, outsider. Come join us so we can love you closer. And I'm like,
God loves conviction.
It's like, that's pretty good, actually. I don't know. I kind of like that. That's what.
Join us.
Yeah, just join, like, don't argue. Just go fucking ham. Like, go nuts. Do you start doing backflips like the Mormon boys do? They do backflips. You ever seen that?
No.
They can't do it. It was funny because someone made a video about Mormons doing backflips, and it's like, you can't drink coffee, you can't drink beer, you can't do anything that's really machado. So you just can do backflips. That's all you do. You get to do attract a mate. I was like, that's kind of funny, actually.
So transforming into tropical birds.
Yeah.
Wait. So when were you a Mormon?
2000 and. Oh God, was I a Mormon before I attempted to? I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
I think it was the same time. Here's the thing: was it before or after 2014, 2015?
2008. Okay,
so that sexual marketplace no longer exists.
Boo! No! No! As the English would say.
Yeah. So
like you're in a single
particularly Mormon women got poached hard by woke.
Yep.
Essentially, because so much of it has to do with social milieu, social consensus, and social domination games, woke came in and swept the rug out from under all of the women who were in it for the social mechanisms of creating community security. And offered them essentially a bigger power player game, and now it's like hard out there for a Mormon dude.
I need to verify this. If this is correct, I need to whoop a lot of women's asses. I will cut the horse hair off a tail and make a reed and just whip the shit out of them. I'm talking welts, baby. If it ain't bruising the bone, the point's not getting through. Oh my God, I'm so mad.
Well, so here's the thing.
It's like hearing that paradise is lost. That's like hearing someone paved over the Garden of Eden. They had tall hair and baked goods.
But this is
Huge tracts of land.
It's technological regression. Like you have a lower social technology now than you used to, and this is the kind of shit you get when you technologically retrogress. I mean, even for the Mormons, it is actually a form of social technological regression that this was capable of happening.
Every road leads to me disciplining women, and I hate it. I like women.
Wait, here's the thing. Like, you don't even necessarily need to discipline. Man, state mandated husbands.
A little spanking will awaken a thing in a woman. That's like pulling off the top ribbon on the present. Christmas time.
All right, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go get my dinner.
What? Come on, we need you the most right now. This is the time.
she's like she just heard 2 policy propositions that are like, fuck this, leaving this earth, goodbye.
Listen, the Tech Mechanicus, the Adeptus Mechanicus has commanded me to perform the ritual.
Look, if you want girls to stop being woke and super crazy, you need higher quality men, and this bullshit ain't pulling
what I'm saying is I'm gonna show them some high quality. I was like, what?
No.
This is actually precisely the problem with the AdMech and their sort of philosophical weakness or vulnerability, and like not being well-rounded. Their vulnerability to injection attacks, not coming to grips with epistemological problems outside of their narrow specialization. Their hobby is their Berkeley girlfriend's politics. Like,
yeah,
they're super materially successful and dominate the market, but essentially have no spiritual backbone or spine whatsoever.
Well, the funny, all right. So I had this thought about a lot of the Europe. You ever hear the example of the Europeans, but like, well, we've invented so many things, and then I like turn the tables on them and says like, yes, but we have the blueprints. We don't need, because they'll say like, well, we don't need this foreign food because we have the recipes. I was like, what happens to Silicon Valley if we just decide we're done? Like we understand what you've got it, understood. We've given it to a bunch of hyper conscientious Christian cults in the Midwest, and their servers are not down. AWS is down. I was like, but they don't progress at all. They don't give a shit about progressing. They just want to maintain.
I give you this is probably a cross-domain exercise of capital. You can probably do this with very, very hefty poaching of talent. And the problem is like the cultural backbone that supports doing this, like poaching the technical expertise of the Adeptus Mechanicus into another file. There's almost nowhere in America that has both, people generating the capital to make this cross-domain leap and a strong enough culture to actually support it. We have money is closely correlated with far too many nowhere person behaviors.
Oh, I see what you're saying. There's no anchor. There's no financial incentive for anchoring. You can either go lateral, where you have different incentives for anchoring, such as like women and family. I always thought, by the way, the best cults, and this includes Christian cults before they went mainstream, had extreme access to good women. Do you not think that the early Christians
made access to manufactured good women?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually it's not a masculine process to manufacture good women. It's actually very much a give and take, because they must be free and also feel safe in order to be who they must be. That is, it's a balance of freedom and protection. Which some say, like libertarians will say, you must have maximum freedom. That does not make a very good woman or a very free woman or a very happy woman. There is a certain give and take to it. The But if you can manage that balance, you actually get access to the best women on the planet. And therefore you have access to the best men on the planet. And that's where you actually take over. Like every revolution is actually led by its women.
Yes.
Who are enabled by the men. That's why I don't think that Fuentes or the alt-right or whatever, because they're so anti-woman. It's like, nah, it's a flash in a pan. They'll be gone very quickly. It just gives women the ick.
Aiden Paladin did a video recently on it turns out sex ratios between fetuses are not even. Same with births too.
Interesting. Really?
Humans actually produce slightly more males than females. But there's it's essentially like depending on this only gets expressed depending on resource scarcity.
Really?
I forget the exact mechanism for it, but essentially like the body of the female body abandons a lot more male pregnancies in the presence of resource scarcity. Materially difficult times lead to fewer men being born, and materially abundant times lead to more men being born. But the excess men above the excess men are actually genetically weaker.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that a lot of the great men that I've ever heard of, including like General Patton, were among many women. Like they're in a very feminine space, strangely enough. Where they had many sisters, aunts, mother, all that sort of stuff. So that's very interesting, actually. Because that's kind of what you want if you're a pagan, right? You want fewer but higher quality men and as many women as you can spare. Essentially.
But I'll also offer that, like, within the domain of the family, I think that's actually super important. It's so hard to articulate how many things I find that came about as like social norms and patterns of behavior, technologies, outlooks, philosophies that came out of the 20th century are just a fucking disaster. And like, we absolutely need to turn our backs on almost everything that became socially normal in the 20th century. Men and women are probably around each other too much. Just like I was talking, like exposure to the bottom quintile turns normal women in like turns base Diane Yap into present Diane Yap.
Yeah. Here's an interesting point here is that like rebelling against the longhouse makes you a real man. Like the thing I have is like most men don't actually ever enter in the longhouse. Like this longhouse is entirely a low tier man problem.
Well, you also shouldn't ever be longhoused by anyone who isn't a blood relative.
Right. Like
that is essentially the point I make. Like men and women are around each other too much. And one, it demystifies them. Two, it baffles expectation setting and like what you're supposed to be doing. Three, you're not on your best behavior when you're around them. You're not putting your best foot forward, and you're exposed to the bottom quintile far too frequently. Like men and women are actually around each other too much outside of the context of family and marriage. The breakdown of single sex spaces is, as far as social environments, is a major collapse.
Yeah, and I hear about men wanting to talk about third places. I was like, you could just make one of those. That's the thing is the technology to make a third place, like to be a leader of a social space. I mean, you're in charge of like War Machine stuff, right? Is that not a male space for men to go to?
Predominantly, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Not strictly exclusively, but it's like if you have a social gathering and your social function is more than 10% female, you can no longer serve only beer. War Machine can still serve only beer,
That's funny.
but it's not necessarily exclusive.
Right. There's no mysticism though between like male spaces. Like if you have more male spaces, women tend to want to join in or like see it, like a glimpse, which is where like maybe competitions or something would be the revelation, where you see men at their peak.
Yeah.
I want to have that for men where I am. I kind of go. I'm a bit of a Taoist. Like I'm a Christian fully, but a Taoist by material nature. But yes.
Balls, soirees, major social gatherings, tournaments are actually a pretty bad environment for an introduction into the society. As far as the War Machine domain goes, and like wives, girlfriends, et cetera, at War Machine, the environments that they tend to do really, really well are dinners and going out for beers. If you bring them to the tournament, because part of it is just like the social engagement simply isn't there because it's a space where men are primarily focused on object-oriented functions. Engagement in social play is not really present. So,
that might be,
you want to bring them to like around like a domain like competition or an electronics club or something like that. You want to bring them to luncheons, dinners, and socials.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like for a competition, what you could do is women like to join teams and be categorized. So if you like gave them little streamers to root for their team, that could get them engaged.
Oh, the World Team Championship has a spouses ticket.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like just random non-spouses. I'm saying is like women who want, but yes,
non-spouses, yes.
The bank was what I would hope to do though is like especially if you have like some electronics club is that you would produce like it would be the production center for great men, and we don't really have that. We don't really have a lot of great mentorship programs.
You know what you could probably do. You pair it like like pursue a barbell strategy like 90-10, 80-20 of object oriented mastery driven basically male spaces, and then 10 to 20% like luncheons, dinners, and balls, and you find an aligned female dominated space and also invite them,
right? Like because one of the big things in electronics is actually working with clothes, dresses, very fancy dresses, like having like almost like bioluminescent looking dresses.
If you want maximal cult-like success, you probably actually have to start 2 clubs, at least one by proxy, or find a sympathetic and aligned club that exists.
That's an interesting thought.
Because then you're talking about creating a society.
Well, the thing is about like the Mechanicus, that's one of the things that breaks down in fiction is that it is a pure masculine organization. There's no actual, I think in the entire 40K universe, because it's so desperate and so threadbare that it doesn't actually have to cater to any feminine sensibilities whatsoever.
Well, the Adeptus Mechanicus has in 40K a surprisingly even like a surprisingly even sex split, but that's because the cult is also neutered.
Right.
It is a eunuch cult.
And it's anti-human almost.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
today's Adeptus Mechanicus is not a eunuch cult. And they're not generally well reconciled to sexuality.
So today's Mechanicus in Silicon Valley is actually quite unbalanced.
You might have an inkling, but like you have no idea how deeply embedded BDSM is into SF Tech AdMech.
That's weird.
That is a hell of a segue. Want to hear more about that?
It actually appeals to it. It is a way of making sense of sexuality for the hyper rationalistic. It is a strict, rationally derivable set of rules governing all sexual encounters.
So its ability
It's
to
not even necessarily a kink. It's just like an uber rationalism. Like,
So what we need to do
tickler.
is hogtie all these guys, drive them off into the middle woods, and dump them somewhere.
well, here's the funny thing about Silicon Valley is there's two possibilities. Either they are key to America's continued survival and prosperity, or they're not, right? Like, are they? Is the secret of American prosperity in hard steel or silicon code? I actually, despite the fact that I'm somewhat of a tech guy myself, I think it's actually hard steel.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I think
the code is
the emergence of a Silicon Valley American ad mech is actually a bad thing. Like I said earlier, like it's disintegration among sections of society, and right now we are very poor at reintegrating these people.
Well, they're runaways. What their job is to do is to consume capital and return chaos, right? It might be higher, it might be lower, there might be a return, there might be not, but it hasn't made our lives better, has it? How many years has it been since our lives were better?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's 17 is the answer. It is 17.
That's a bigger number than I thought, but that's not a bad number. 17, that would put it as 2008?
Yeah, there you go.
That was when I got out of college.
Yeah. It was very close to my graduation as well. If you look at most aggregate measures of material comfort, which is not inclusive of being able to get something like this inside of 4 hours, that was peak.
Which is, by the way, that stuff is pure bullshit, right? Like all these, it's convenience. It's not progress.
Well, this is also harkening back to the third space issue. The basket of consumer goods that goes into the CPI and other things is they keep pulling black magic with it by doing substitutions. Monthly or weekly or bi-weekly outings to the movies in CPI get substituted with Netflix. It is a pale imitation in terms of the context and rhythm of your life. But we do have these convenience substitution mechanics. As thrilling and wonderful as like some of the online communities people may find themselves in, it's often, highlighted by its cheapness and not necessarily its meaningfulness. Again, not to say that it can't be significant and meaningful, but often people are going to the cheaper option and less to the slightly pricey, but in general, more significant third place.
I hope
it's very cheap to pop open a browser in your PJs, and it's somewhat more expensive to go to the ball.
I know that we're like way off topic and fucking, but like,
yeah, and I really need to go.
Well, all right, yeah, no worries, Luna.
Okay,
all right,
yep. Thanks for joining us, Luna.
So yeah, the Carl Benjamin thought on AI, and I think Connor Tomlinson also repeated this, is that they think that giving absolute tools to everyone will mean that there's like a million shows. I know, because I'm not a naive person, is that most people are actually unable to even figure out what they want for dinner that night, let alone what kind of movie they want. And I think there's going to be creative people, despite the fact that these tools are so available to them, that are going to be more or less the culture setters of everybody. That creativity is actually a fairly low bar, but that low bar filters out almost everyone.
That's the problem with being intelligent and creative and like spiritually and intellectually switched on, is you too project like other people. And it may be that your vision of people's responses to technological changes is actually much more narrow than you would think.
Yeah, like most people, I think this is a great actually opportunity for right-wingers to bypass artists.
Yeah,
I think
when it comes to like AI, creative endeavors, artistic expression, I derived a parallel rule to one of Robert Conquest's rules. Any organization or endeavor, like any content endeavor, which is not explicitly anti-pornography, will eventually become pornography. like that's LCD. You're settling into least common denominator, and like I'm sorry. I get.
He's having a schwitz.
I get so.
He's so much
I get
sugar
so
now.
upset by much of modernity and much of our naive beliefs about how humans cope with technology. You require high technology individuals to cope with high technology.
Yeah,
I mean, this is and this is why that even though it was apocryphal, the African village that got Starlink and everybody's like porn. And it's like everybody believes it because everybody intuitively knows how this goes. Like,
right.
When you introduce people to man-made horrors beyond their comprehension, what happens?
Yeah. Okay. So here's where I'm going to go to the things I like about the Adeptus Mechanicus is they do gatekeep and they do restrict access and they have respect for technology. Whereas people now don't have any respect at all for what they're doing. Right? Like the AdMech, if they found the power to make dinosaurs, would probably sit and think about it for a long time and like do it in a very contained, protected environment and under a lot of scrutiny. Whereas like, you know, Michael Crichton is probably right, is that Americans would just fucking do it and don't ask anybody. Yeah, we'll just like, disrupt it, break things, whatever, fuck it. That's the opposite of what the AdMech would want. So it's like, is Silicon Valley the AdMech? Or are they the opposite? Because the AdMech believes the opposite. Is like, don't break things.
I mean,
like
I refer to them as the AdMech, but I think actually your distinction is that like AdMech is post Silicon Valley collapse is probably ultimately correct. Like the AdMech that you see in 40K, the AdMech that we live with in real life, like maybe it's better to call them the machine worshippers in the what if alt hist terminology.
Right.
The machine worshippers we live with today are somehow worse.
Yes, because they haven't had the fall yet. They haven't had to. They also don't have any connection to the education of technology at all. Like Silicon Valley has been extremely disinterested in educating people.
Yeah, most of them can't educate. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the epistemological views about human nature and technology and like interfacing with ideas that they have. They're obviously incapable of it.
That's so pathetic. It's actually
this is me speaking in a lot of sweeping generalities, and I have been blessed to know some extremely talented and philosophically sophisticated people, and I am talking about a gestalt here.
Right. Well, the fact that Silicon Valley in large cannot actually produce those who can perpetuate it means it's a non-civilization. It's
also like in the what if alt hist thing, like I was thinking through everybody I know that I genuinely like respect and find admirable. And as far as their religion goes, maybe two are machine worshippers. Every single other one is either a Darwinian or a Christian or both.
Interesting. Yeah, Darwinian is simply a Christian who believes that God is going to roll the dice on who wins or loses, which is why I have a weird love and hate relationship with white supremacists on Twitter. I find that their blaming of other races is actually extremely low tactic. Like it's a distraction from their own perfection.
Yeah, it's pussified low agency behavior.
Yeah, it's trailer park nonsense.
It's like what you keep telling me about women is like men who get kirked out by female behavior. It's like it's not that hard to deal with them actually. Like if you're having problems with women, you're having problems with yourself. Like
yes, exactly. Like women want you to be awesome.
Yeah, women want you to be awesome because it's fulfilling for them, and they'll also follow, like, you know, being heavily safety driven will follow the climate around them. So, like, if you like, you can completely control female behavior by simply dictating the emotional and safety climate around you.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, as a man, you're there to curate a world that they want to join.
Yeah.
So curate it, like, have high agency.
Yeah.
And make that work.
And I've started listening for that in like my relationship and speaking around women, and it's really amazing because, like, I can tell instantly, you know, whether a certain idea or perspective, and, like, every time I say I don't know, I'm like, oh, I just fucked up there.
Right.
Like,
right. You sit back in repose as like a king would, and you think, like, what would the, like, and you by the way, as a king, you can pose riddles to the women and keep them busy, and also try to figure out what's going on. Of like, well, what of this young girl that wants to join? Is she good or is she bad? Is she productive? What is the quality of a young girl? Like, what is the quality of a young person that wants to join our tribe? And you just sit back and repose and just stroke your chin while they, like, fight, and then eventually you stand up and take one side or not. Like, it. I guess what I'm saying is, like, most men don't know how to lead themselves, let alone anybody else. Like, for me,
and the white supremacists are, oh, the N's and the J's are like, oh, so the most, like, discontinuous, you know, least solidarity social group, and the most you know, the most dysfunctional social group in the country are, like, ruining your existence somehow. Sucks to suck, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It sucks to suck. Like, it's like every time they talk about, like, the Jews doing some nefarious thing, I'm like, you probably wish you were them, didn't you? Why did you do that nefarious thing? That sounds pretty badass, actually.
Right. Yeah. Imagine because they're essentially in conjecturing this universe where there's this oppressive demiurge who's attacking them by the nature of physical reality. It's like you're casting yourself as a victim. The demiurge is the only real agent, and you have to go on this, like, mystical cope to not kill yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So
a lot of people do the same thing with women.
Exactly.
A lot of women do the same thing with men, by the way. They have counterplay in this game.
Well, the thing is,
like, just as men should be interested in creating a high-tech woman, women should be interested in creating a high-tech man, and a lot of them are just settling for money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then the thing is, there are lots of women who are. The great thing about women is that they are kind of fools for the thing that they like. So you have to just be something that they like, and they will follow you. They have emotions so that you can take hold of them and break them out of the cycle. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And most men don't know how to do that. It's actually not that hard. Like, having a normal human interaction, to me, the biggest thing that makes it different is just maintaining.
Women on the counter position are looking to turn capability into ambition, into achievement.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Camille Paglia example, like, if men could reproduce by osmosis, we'd have invented Xbox and beer and still be living in caves and would have progressed no further.
Right. Exactly. Like, the striving for women is actually an important part of you being as a man, like, to meet their standards. Women are willing to take a risk on you if they see some potential, but that means vision, like I was saying before.
Right. Women are gatekeepers to posterity.
Yeah, so it's funny that, like, I hear white supremacists, and then I hear it from the same white supremacists, all this bad shit about their own women. And I was like, well, obviously 50% of the population is not so supreme, are they? Like, well, okay, so you're not really a white supremacist, because you'd be like, Yas Queen to your women if that was the case. But, you know, obviously you're not. Yeah, the cult of technology in Silicon Valley has this bizarre relationship between its men and women, because I see absolutely low grade mid women sort of predominant among the Silicon Valley women. Is that true? Like, do you get that?
Super duper.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The sexual dynamics in the Bay Area are really weird, but in general, I'll say, yeah, that's right.
Like mid Asians.
The women are pretty low quality, especially if you look at like married pairs and stuff. You know, the rape of the Sabine women. It's a story from early Roman history.
Yeah.
So the city of Rome started out as a bandit camp. It was a camp for bandits that would predate on nearby people, and it eventually kind of turned into a city. But like logging camps, it was a sausage factory. And like, we've established ourselves as a city, we have a king, we have a code of laws, you know, we're not just like, you know, jumping out of bushes and stabbing people. Like, how the hell do we get women? And the nearby city of, I forget like Latin roots and how it goes, but like the Sabines, the people from that city, the Romans are like, I have an idea. So they invite all the Sabines over and then steal their women and secure them, like, come see our wonderful new city. And then they steal their women, secure them in their houses, and the dudes come out with knives and say, okay, now go the fuck away. They just stole this rival city's women. This is Berkeley girls to San Francisco guys.
Oh, I see.
The sexual marketplace is really distorted by how much unisex homosexuality San Francisco has for men and Oakland has for women. So there's confounding variables in there. Like Oakland, California, by the way, is like a mecca for lesbians, but lesbian communities tend to be much more insular for evolutionary reasons, obviously. So it's not much talked about. But there are parts that are like low-key Castro-ish in Oakland. Anyways, those are confounding variables on the sexual marketplace. But you know, it's you know, a lot of, as far as it plays into the machine worshippers, there's a lot of the rape of the San Francisco men.
This got picked up like a bunch of women and just seized up. Well, that's kind of how it goes, though, is because they're extremely naive.
For anybody out there, by the way, default friend Catherine D does a lot of writing about this sort of thing and the sexual marketplace dynamics in San Francisco. She's the one who came up with the term founder hounder. It's its own bizarre parallel universe that shouldn't exist.
Right. Well, the thing is the leftists. Okay, what I think is that leftists don't actually do a lot. What I think happens that people who do stuff tend to go towards leftism. Right? There's a difference there. Is that the methodology comes before the intent, right? Like these women have
enough to say some things about this that I probably shouldn't. So I'll just let you make your point here.
No, it's all good. The right wing, because right wingers will say like, we should do this, we should do that. It's like, the thing is, it doesn't come from a political place at first.
Yeah.
It just goes there afterwards.
Well, yeah, because they're messed up and they think politics gives natural, like this is the AA problem. They're all mixed up and think politics gives, is the bed on which natural human expression is built. And like, it's the other way around. Authentic human expression yields politics. This is why everything is political is correct, because authentic human experience has particular societal structures to it. Like culture, like politics is downstream of culture. Politics is downstream of culture. Right wingers, get this through your head. Politics is downstream of culture. And if you try and make culture on a political basis rather than an authentic spiritual basis, you're always going to lose because you have the formula fucking backwards. This is why, like, the rape of the San Francisco men is an inversion of the natural order in terms of like value set substitution.
Right.
Because it's a bunch of men who refuse to make things safe for their women, so the women have to make their men their women.
It's interesting. Like if there was a breed of Christianity that was there to like, okay, women who are the sort of head of the household, how do you operate? And how do we empower you? Because that starts from the sexual relationship which is upstream of culture, which is upstream in politics. That's what I'm saying is that, like, Christianity, the broad Christianity, the one that was made in the West with Catholicism. By the way, all of Western Christianity is based on Catholicism, which, the Nicene Creed, all that stuff. Yeah, the Nicene Creed, all that stuff, bred that into existence. I am not part of that. I'm not privy to that. If you gave me one book, like Book of Matthew, that's it. We'd be Christians all the same. And we'd have more versatility, I think, because of it. Because we're able to make families that are based on whichever, right? Like there's a way for a woman to empower her man who then can lead the household. But it's like, what I'm saying is that this one size fits all Christianity actually fails to win the culture war. Yeah. And I think Christians in the West are actually destined to fail all the time. That might be God's design. I don't know.
Man, I don't know. It's because so much of Westernism is cargo cultism. So much of this reassertion of masculine it's just like it's just the fake artifacts. Like, oh, what does a man do? He has big muscles. It's. I genuinely find this so upsetting and frustrating. I
had a video on this on my channel long ago where I was like, where does this classical architecture, how does that feed your family? How does that do anything for you? Like, this is bullshit. Like, all this aesthetics is cargo cult is all about aesthetics.
Food comes first, morals follow on, and people don't know what time it is. Because we have technologically retrogressed. We're coming up on the time of empty bellies. And you're constantly pointing out, like, you don't live in a high trust society anymore. And like, that's not what time it is.
I don't think Gen Z, and I'm looking at Gen Z and Gen Alpha as like, we've degenerated so much that I actually don't think that we have the very operating system to run. Like, the operating system of the West, you can say
UK went from a first world country to a third world country in 1.5 generations. And the first generation that was born in the period of that decline hasn't even realized the changes happened.
All right. That's right. Like, the absence of shame is actually really jarring. This is why I apologize. Like, I don't give a fuck about the younger generations anymore because they don't want to hear anything. I have really harsh things to say because I'm coming from a place of, I've seen proper third world poverty, and we are not far. We are not far. We are all unworthy of inheriting our father's vineyards. We are all unworthy of inheriting our forefather. Like, we can't operate it. And someone else is going to
also in like 2 more business cycles, those things may not exist anymore.
They may not exist, and the ones that do
we're simply not maintaining them. It's not just that we're not worthy, but the material basis for all these expectations is actually disintegrating fast due to lack of maintenance and development.
And then we end up like blaming Jews and blaming Asians because Asians and Jews are pretty good at maintaining stuff and like acquiring stuff. I was like, well, these are the people who are actually keeping shit running, and you end up having like the race that had founded the country becoming the degenerate class that can no longer maintain it. And they're just angry and jealous. And I see so much anger and jealousy in the younger generations that there's like, they're all leftists. Like, even if they say they're on the right on a poll, who gives a shit? They're all leftists. They're all like, they all just are jealous of boomers. It's like, you got to let it go, man. Like, the boomers had a fucking awesome party. That's all right. Like, there's a huge mess left behind after them. Okay, like, it is what it is. It's not like it's 1925, man. Like, we're not in the middle of like a horrendous depression, but it's like even the gratitude for that is not the present. Like, there's no continuity. There's no like persistence of memory of generations of like perspectives of what's going on. Everyone thinks that boomers like the devil, and the boomers fucked up, but they didn't fuck up like Weimar Germany fucked up. Like,
that's
if you go to a church, it's almost always full of boomers. they've kept Christianity alive in the West. You got to give me
I'd have to think about that one.
Yes, think about that. Like, because the boomers, as horrible as they are, they did actually keep the West running somewhat, but they also gatekept the shit out of knowledge. I did because I'm the boomer. I know this because I'm the boomer.
They gatekept the shit out of money too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
That the boomers was the last generation in America in a long time. Maybe the first last generation in America.
Yeah, and they are completely like this. And
Rome had no fewer than 3 last generations, by the way, which is fucking wild.
Yeah, the boomers were cataclysmic. They believed the world was ending, and they lived accordingly, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I talked to boomers, and they were like, "Yeah, we thought the world was going to end at any moment, nuclear war."
This is why, if there's ever a world-ending catastrophe, if you somehow wind up being the god emperor of Earth, and you know it's inevitable, and that the world is going to be destroyed, it is actually your moral responsibility to keep that from people. Because what they do when they believe it is going to be destroyed, possibly indefinitely, or what they know is going to what they are going to do when they know it's going to be destroyed at a specific time, it is your moral responsibility to keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah,
because people will act in ways that are utterly reprehensible if you tell them.
Yeah, how the Dooley here is saying that it's more the when they says they, it means the boomers, I think. Still think the party is going and blaming you for not having fun at the non-existent party.
I want to get a hold of Tim Dillon's book on the boomers.
Is that coming out? Does he have that going yet?
I heard it was coming out, but I also found it was like published in like a very limited run last year. So I don't know what the deal is with that.
The boomers are extremely short-sighted because they kind of got theirs. But also, you got to remember the boomers are under extreme poverty at the moment. Like, if you think about it, right? Like, oh, their houses are worth so much. Well, that's great if they own more than one house. If they own only one house, they have to sell an extremely expensive house to get another extremely expensive house, which they then reverse mortgage. And it's like,
exactly. No, reverse mortgaging is essentially a financial instrument that was invented for, for boomers to live comfortably at the end of their lives.
They are actually under extreme poverty conditions, and they just don't give a fuck, and they're living on borrowed time.
Well, yeah, because all they've done is borrow for their entire lives. Like they fucking mortgaged us. Like,
yeah. So the boomers were essentially responding to incentives at the time.
Yes.
And responding to what they had good. And a lot of the complaints I have from the Gen Z guys is that they just wish they were boomers. I was like, that's not a good thing. It's like you should morally judge the boomers and say you do better. Because that's what Americans do. It's like Americans have a long tradition of morally judging our forebears and trying to do better. Like, look at the Shakers and the Quakers.
Murray Rothbard had that there's the Max Weber perspective, which I think is absolutely right, that you should be able to look through the eyes of people at the time, or at least get as close as you can to understand their circumstances and why they made the decisions that they made. Like, you should exercise a tremendous degree of sympathy for the past. Murray Rothbard said something also true. Historians should be judges of the past, and they should be hanging judges at that. Eric Vogelin has a wonderful lecture that is available on YouTube from 1967 called "The Man in the Cosmos." He is specifically talking about moderns and the spiritual death of moderns and what their great philosophical strengths are, or what their greatest weapons are. It's like illiteracy, fundamentalism, and I can't remember the other one, but like, this is a contemporary state of spiritual existence. This is why you have Gen Z wishing they were boomers, essentially.
Right. How the Dooley says, who says they're wishing to be boomers? I see it so often. Any bit of nostalgia for a time they've never been in. Like, I see so much nostalgia for like, I wish it was like the 90s, or I wish I could afford a house. By the way, affording a house is actually pretty exclusive to boomers. Do you think that a non-skilled laborer could afford land?
Yes. So just strictly economically, that's like affording land in substantial acreage, not necessarily. Buying a house, quote unquote. I mean, you often just made them.
Right.
This is actually like ubiquitous up until 1980s, 1990s, thereabouts. When interest rates switch from 12% and price tags switch from 5 figures to 6 or 7.
Right. Interest rates and price tags flipped.
Yes, which is fucking awful, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, it's terrible. But you could still build. The thing is, like I'm saying, is that if you go back more than one generation, your challenges are just challenges. They're not barriers. Yeah. Like if you want to be an absolute fucking psychopath and build your own house, you actually can do that if you go to the right place. And people who say like, "Oh, I lived in the Boston area for 4 generations. Why should I leave?" It's like, that's America for you. You should have studied more. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Keep up with the times, maybe. By the way, ethnic displacement. I guess at the 3 hour and 20 minutes mark is where I kirk out. Ethnic displacement is completely normal in America. Do you guys have any idea how much ethnic displacement has happened in America? Like, there's a shitload of like. There's no guarantees, man.
That's I get what you're saying with that, but that's like super contingent.
Well,
and here's the thing, like, okay,
yeah.
intra-ethnic displacement, like, okay, fine, you know, it may seem arbitrary, but I am willing to say within the like contents of our national boundaries and stuff like that, like, okay, fine, normal. Ethnic displacement, extra national displacement, fuck off.
No. Extra national. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like internal.
Sure. Because people will often take an argument for one as implicitly an argument for the other.
That's a good point. Thank you for keeping me on track here. Like America had multiple people. Like we had 13 colonies with their own populations. You had Maryland, which is Catholic. You had Massachusetts, which is very Protestant Puritan. You had Quakers in Pennsylvania. You had people, although you have Scots Irish in the back country because all the people who were settled right up close to the coast. And if you ever look at like maps of the 13 colonies, like, everything is like within 20 miles of the coast and like a horse ride away. Like essentially, as soon as you go outside of 20 miles of Boston, it's like there be dragons here. Yeah,
Scotch Irish wound up in the back country because they got to all the coastal settlements and everybody said, "You best keep moving on, bucko."
Yeah. I love the Scots. By the way, I live amongst the Scots Irish. I really enjoy them. I'm starting a distillers club, an alcoholer in Monterey, Tennessee. I talked to the liquor store owner, like the local liquor store owner, and they're moving to a new location. I was like, come on, man. Macerations, distillations, fermentations, hell yeah, we got it together. I know a lot of people in this area that do it. I was like, might as well bring them here and have like a competition. That'd be fun as hell.
Yeah.
I'd love to know the best moonshiner. Maybe we could make our own bourbon. And he's like, he just sort of stroked his chin. I was like, that sounds pretty good. The man is very busy. So the fact that I got like a little bit of chin stroking, I was like, that does sound kind of interesting. Is a big deal to me because he's got a lot to worry about. He's like moving locations. Yeah, man. Appalachian civilization is founded at the still out. That's how it goes. Hell yeah. I'm hoping to buy a still soon. I'm getting vested in a bunch of stuff. This is what I do with my stocks. I'm getting vested in. I'm going to buy a still with it. No, I'm buying a still and I'm buying a bunch of stocks. By the way, I bought a bunch of stocks. OKLO, it's a nuclear stock. Holy shit. I bought it at its high peak and then it like fell down like 30%. I'm like, listen, if you ain't got the balls, you shouldn't be in this business because I'm not even panicking. Fuck it. I lost $2,000 in the last 4 business days. It'll be back later. I don't give a shit. Like, don't panic. Anyways,
every time I make an investment just to keep myself sane, it's like, that's a bunch of money I'll never see back.
Oh yeah,
money I'll never see back. Like, you just have to do that every time, otherwise you'll go mad.
Dude, when I was thinking about investing in the stock market, I was like, I am putting my money into an arena where there are people who spend their entire lives knowing how to game this and get money from suckers like me. Yeah.
Every time I lend money to like friends or family, like, oh, they're going through like hardship and I happen to have means, I'll, help them out, like bridge this transition period. That's money I'll never see back.
Exactly.
And then like when I get it back, it's like, oh, what a bounteous windfall.
That's the proper that you're overcoming your the stereotype. Which is funny.
If you say so. I mean, it's also like a way to beat the human emotional reward schedule. Like people smack talk on stoicism because it's honestly been overplayed by tech bros. Like it really has. But these were people whose primary interest was in beating the human psychological reward schedule. And you just straight up have to implement some of it or you'll lead a perpetually unhealthy life.
So I do the was the Hagakure or Shibumi? I forget which one it was. We're already dead, man.
Hagakure is the precursor to the samurai code.
Yeah, we're already dead, man. It doesn't matter. Fuck it. It's just bullshit.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
As long as I get my chicken thighs at dinner time, I don't care. The nature of risk assessment. I'm trying to weave this. I'm so desperately trying to weave this back in. The nature of risk assessment and like the Mechanicus and just all of tech bros and all this stuff is that you have these externalized incentives where the tech bros have zero incentive to care about any backlash at all. Like just it's all pure disruption. Does this ever end? Do you think? Like, do they ever stop disrupting, or are they just going to be cunts forever?
Well, so the market is is essentially a giant disruption engine. So you kind of don't.
Oh no!
I mean, the real problem you're actually seeing, I think, is the disruption of the tech bro sector. Maybe an artifact, actually, in that essentially the rest of the marketplace has been tranquilized. And the tech sector is the only place where there's real volatility or innovation. So it looks like it's throwing our society into chaos, but only because it's the only outlet for Schumpeterian creative destruction. Because the rest of the market is anesthetized, and it looks super dangerous and disruptive, but like actually it's reflective of like a level of churn that should be going on in most of society, and it's just this is the one outlet.
Well, it could be like
I mean, and here's the thing: like having made that recognition, part of the problem is the non-integration culturally of the tech sector, and specifically of technology workers within some disciplines. If the rest of the market were significant, like reasonably more volatile, and in comparison, tech was less relatively volatile, I think you'd actually have better cultural integration of tech people. And as a result of better cultural integration, better sexual integration, better religious integration, they would probably be less fucking weird. I mean, like, look at the tech world when Bell Laboratories. Bell Laboratories was going hard and doing absolutely insane shit, but they weren't at the level of like total disintegration and also being the only market sector that actually contributes.
Well, right. The Bell Labs is always under incentives, whereas I feel like there's a low interest rate period of American history where just money was being shoveled into Silicon Valley for bullshit, and you couldn't lose.
Well, because it's the only sector that's actually allowed to grow.
Fascinating concept.
Aside from the financial sector, which I think I've talked about the insight I got from a Argentinian economist. Gave me the best insight I've ever heard on American financial markets. But no, I'll save it for another time. It's a major digression. I think I may have told the story before, but
I think that I don't recall at the moment, but maybe you did. The financial sector to me is fascinating because it does seem like you're riding the dragon. Like it's not really productive. It does produce money, yes, but it creates volatility inherently with it. Like the
what it produces is producing money is part of the problem. What it produces is leverage.
Well, is the America
leverage and obligation, And if that obligation seriously outstrips savings, like, boy, are you in trouble.
Well, what America might be going for right now, because the Make America Great Again is a specifically regressive way of doing things. So we might be trying to rebel against the idea of maximizing input, right? Like GDP or whatever you want to call it. And instead of going for something more robust and more local. So to go more local, by the way, is anti-specialization. It's anti-division of labor. It's more efficient to have China do all of our steel, but it's better for our own security and for our civilization from a post-rational standpoint for us to make our own steel, even if it's more expensive, less efficient, et cetera, et cetera.
So if you were looking for a cut that, because like I keep saying, like, reject the 20th century, reject the 20th century. Part of this is German pietism morphing into American progressivism, which is up until the 2000s, the most hubristic and egoistic social movement and spiritual movement that's ever been seen. If you're looking for a cut that will do a lot more good than damage, it'll still do some damage. But if you're looking for a cut that cuts clean-ish, destroy every social and governmental innovation that has happened in the United States in the last precisely 114 years.
That cuts through the Great Depression and the invention of Social Security, the invention of Medicaid.
Invention of the central bank.
Yeah.
And it cuts through the invention of a lot of modern biological science also.
Here's a funny thing about this is that we are potentially facing we have 2 more years of Trump. Or was it 3? I forget.
Three. We're this has been one of those years where decades happen.
I know, it's fucking crazy. I love it, but it's crazy.
Yeah. Isn't it awesome to live when history is happening?
This country is getting absolutely reamed in its ass. There's no reason.
I remember being a young teenager when like 9/11 and the second Gulf War was happening. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I probably can't appreciate this articulately, but this is thrilling.
Oh yeah. And we're going through it again. Because the Trump administration is going to give way to the Vance administration. I don't think there's any stopping that. And I don't see the Democrats winning. I mean, we'll see with the midterms, but I see the Democrats as a dying party. They're unable to let go of their extreme positions, which are becoming more and more, because they're extreme, they're also focused, right? When you're extreme, you're focused. When you're focused, that means you're easy to isolate and then hit, which is a dialectical superpower of your enemy, is they know exactly where to smash you down. They're not being very subtle, I guess what I'm saying. So you can just hit on crime, illegal immigration. You can hit on manufacturing and trade deficits, and you'd probably be able to coast through another decade or two. So like JD Vance is probably these midterms are also a foregone conclusion, considering the gerrymandering, the counter gerrymandering.
I mean, I don't even know if it's counter gerrymandering, especially with oh God, what was it? The Voting Rights Act.
Oh yes, yeah, that's
been going on. Where like,
goes through,
equal protection under the law means we need to specifically carve out voting blocks, like voting areas that are dedicated to minority groups. So like, I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Right, exactly. Like this, by the way, if Trump did anything, it's to have the most based SCOTUS in the world. Is that this?
No, wait, the SCOTUS were actually reaping like the biggest legacy of Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0 that we probably wouldn't have reaped if he had won the 2020 contest.
Correct. He is so if this is true, let's say Republicans hold it for up until 2028, easy peasy. That's what we're scheduled for now. 8 more years beyond that, so 2036, and probably another 8 more years after that, which is 2042, I think, or 2044, something like that.
we need to,
which might be Rubio or Miller seems like the most likely. Whoever Vance chooses as a vice president.
I think over a decade time span in two different administrations, I think that's too hard a call to make. I think it, if Trump and Vance are aligned on the same project, we do need to post 2028 is wishful thinking. Yeah, but it's also like, that's fair. A lot can happen in 4 years, but it's also the time horizon. Like, if you look at the Yuri Bezmenov ideological subversion, like 10 years is the minimum you need to start moving the needle back in the other direction. Like we okay, we won 2024, great, but Trump isn't going to single-handedly fix all the problems that we're dealing with, because many of them require repealing and rearranging institutions that are long-standing, and making serious cultural changes, making educational changes, blah, blah, blah. You actually do need until 2036, if the 2024 win isn't going to be a transitory phenomenon in the pendulum swing. Ideally, you probably need 4 years after that, because in the Soviet ideological subversion, Bezmenov says 15 years is your minimum threshold to essentially completely educate a generation. I think 3 presidencies, 10 years is enough to at least move the momentum of institutional change, particularly in the tendency of federal agencies, the time it takes to get electoral momentum, to abolish federal agencies, to reconfigure and change purpose, etc.
Jesus Christ, Hadley.
I
we just keep sacrificing virgins to the AI. It'll tell us what to do.
The human sacrifices will stop, except for Will Stancil.
Will Stancel's an exception. He's like, that was actually it's in the Bible, son.
By the way, Mr. Stancil.
By the way, I do love the Southern aristocracy accent. It's been fantastic.
See, Hadley Goodley's on the program.
Yeah.
Just Will Stancil.
All will be right in this world if we could just give Will Stancil to Grok. No, just Will Stancil. I can't.
It'll be like Gamera versus Zigra, where he's the meat puppet of this alien god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, when I think of Will Stancil, I think meat puppet. For sure.
Sorry, there are probably better movies to make this illustration from, but I'm kind of obsessed with Gamera versus Zigra. Like, why did they only remake good movies, never movies that missed their potential? And I've been like 4 years trying to rewrite Gamera versus Zigra, because I feel like this is a schlocky kaiju film playing with enough high concepts that it could be solid gold if you crack the formula.
This guy, Alex Cosman, just keeps bringing up Gamera versus Zigra. He just won't stop. Hey, man, with AI, maybe you can make that possible. And you could.
Oh, no. Brock and I have done an extensive treatment session on how do we rejigger the premises to make this work.
You got to put Will Stancil in there as a minor character who gets bodied somehow.
There we go. Maybe he's the creative voice that's missing.
There we go.
Maybe we need Will Stancil in the writer's room. Me Grok and Will Stancil doing the the meat puppet Eiffel Tower.
What I will say that's beneficial though to this conversation is that I've not found that boomer technologists, engineers are very guarded with their knowledge, which I'm thankful for. They're actually fairly. But they do have a very high standard for work ethic. And I got to give it to the boomers. They have a pretty high work ethic. Like, they're hard workers, maybe to a fault. Probably to a fault. They're maybe cultishly obsessed with going to work and ignoring their families. They might have been they were very financially incentivized to ignore their families and go to work all the fucking time. I don't understand it. They're workaholics. But yes, they have a lot of
Would you want to come back from work if you were married to a boomer woman?
Oh God.
See,
Hippie women with
their entire epoch of comedy makes sense now, right?
Yeah, there's the women with their stupid hair and their stupid opinions. Oh my God. I have
The
a
same
very
opinion as yours. They're just reflected back at you, and you hate it.
yeah. Well, here's the horrific thing though. Black pill time. I think we're going through a gigantic filter. Is what we're going through. And a lot of boomers are at the beginning of the filter, and then the filter just continues onward. And the filter is fertility. Like, who is able to have children, not.
Yeah.
And I think it's just fixed. It's the die is cast. It's like many people, and I will see this on the Lotus Eaters. I will see this on traditionalists. They will look at prior conditions as to why they were like, oh, we're going to limit women's this, and we're going to have this condition and that condition. I was like, well, those conditions aren't there anymore. So what are you going to do? I was like, well, I guess just die. Like,
this is I don't want to enter into this. Aside to say, I get your point, and I think we've alluded to this in past discussions. Even if they were offline, I think Thomas Malthus was kind of right, but in like an obverse or in like. Darkwing Duck and Nega Duck. Nega Malthus was right. Births reflect child rearing capacity expectations. And I think there's a whole people fuck it up a lot. People fuck up Nega Malthus. But there's a lot of real changeable, like grappleable things that you can deal with in the real world that come from Nega Malthus's work. But declining birth rate indicates that the world is factually getting worse. That the world you live in is getting worse.
Yeah.
Because like, and this is why 114 years, like, central banking and everything that goes into our modern like credit world is all about falsifying data. The one thing you can't falsify is birth rate. Like you have to do a lot of Nega Malthus reading into how does birth rate give you economic health. If birth rate is negative, you must suppose that your society is getting worse. Despite what all the other, like Steven Pinker, like Better Angels of Our Nature, like mortality is an all-time low. And it's like, yeah, but attempted murders and actual violence are like as high or higher than they've ever been. And it just turns out modern medicine prevents most of those from turning into deaths. Pinker is essentially falsifying data. The same is true in the econ domain. Anyway, sorry, I said I was not going to engage with this, and I'm like really drunk, but I totally did. I need to work on an outline for this for like the universe of Nega Malthus. Yeah,
we're so fucked. That'd be so funny if we had like one stream that was called like "It's so over" and then ... to suggest we're so back. And what we do is we talk about the success stories in terms of fertility rate, because there are success stories. There's actually like conservatives. If you isolate for political persuasion, I guess I found a graph of this is that conservatives haven't really suffered that much in terms of fertility rate.
They have not. No. Yeah. I mean, it's Ed Dutton's perspective that essentially like the wokes are a selection barrier like World War I and World War II.
That's exactly
like they're essentially a human cull.
That's what I'm saying is like this is a filtration effort. And what I'll also say next is that I said this once on a gold tier live call with the Lotus Eaters, and I got met with, I think, despair. I don't know what it was. It was one of the few times that Rory was on. I said that everyone who should be breeding is breeding. And I was like met with despair. And because like you don't understand what that means. Everyone that should be breeding is breeding. All the God-fearing good Christians, all of the patriots, everyone who should be breeding is breeding.
The Collinses talk about this often. You have to be careful with incentives around fertility rate. Because you can incentivize some people that you do not want to breed.
I said this once before.
And again, like this is, we're talking in public. This is like people will make that mean certain eugenics things, which it is not meant to mean. And every one of the people who will make that mean like a eugenics thing that I don't want it to mean also have eugenics beliefs of their own that are more extreme than what I just postulated.
I believe in eugenics. I think that the Welsh will take over
Here's
the world.
the Welsh. Everybody implicitly believes in eugenics. Every single human being implicitly believes in eugenics.
Every woman on this earth, her every ovulation is based on eugenics. The beating of her heart that would give blood to the heart of her child would be based on eugenics. Nobody wants a fucking. I gotta find who's the guy who I said his lips were untrustworthy last night. I forget who it was. That fucking troll looking dude.
Nobody wants to have that. I think we're at the drunk point where we should tune this stream out because I'm pretty sure we've like 4x nested tangent.
No, fuck it. It's called a stream of consciousness, my friend.
I have to pee so bad.
Go pee. I don't care. It's all right. I'll take care of it. Boy, people really hate Indians. Holy shit. Damn, I'm just looking at my notifications. God damn, guys, calm down. Okay, they're people too. You see that shit throwing festival?
Oh yeah, the PCs thing.
Stop, guys. Stop. You're here. This is a global world. Everybody can see.
You used to be able to have folk customs that nobody knew about.
Listen, if
the Spanish were telling you the human sacrifices will stop, not for moralistic reasons, but for like, please God, Mayan civilization, think of your decency. You're only decades away from the printing press.
You guys gotta clean up the Gamgees. You gotta stop throwing shit at each other. This is as bad as like white people having the mayonnaise festival. Alex, do you want on the stage or not? I see you listening. Do you put it in the private chat if you want on the stage with your new camera? You want that? You want that on the stage? You got so many clones of you. You're like Dr. Robotnik.
CC. Here we go.
Right, CC. Yes, CC. Oh my gosh. The Indians, you guys gotta understand optics. Holy shit. You can't be throwing shit at each other at some festival. You gotta stop this, okay? Like China is kind of retarded in their own way. They got RGB LEDs everywhere, but they're putting a good show. They're trying. What is this? What is the shit festival? I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna find this guy. Holy crap! I don't remember his name though, but he went there with like a clean suit, and there's just shit was being thrown. Like, oh my gosh! I'm gonna share this. You guys have got to stop, okay? Like. Racism has.
Wait, is this the one where he's like he works at a dairy factory and he's like through like covered hands and a shit covered like lower mouth?
Why use your hands? Because that's how.
I mean, he's in a bodysuit. He's in like a clean bodysuit, and right now the Indians and like the foreigners are trying to say like, oh, it's just like eating pizza with your hands. Like hand food in the West in the civilized world. Doesn't have like shit falling out of your hands. Like fucking disgusting. By the way, I'm Indonesian. I'm half Indonesian, right? Hakka Chinese Indonesian. They eat out of their hands. Okay, I don't. It's okay to look at your like grandparents and be like, that's pretty fucking gross. Don't do it. But it's like to create this false comparison between this like seaweed wrapped dumpling and eating straight up rice out of your hands. It's just dishonest. Look at this lady just shoving garbage in her fucking mouth. Fuck me.
Right.
Eating a hot dog versus eating a hot dog. Like you guys don't. And what it does is it tells me that you don't actually understand. You don't you fucking people don't actually understand. This is not about like using your hands. It's about cleanliness, cohesiveness. Mess, waste. Anyways,
it's also just about anticipation. It's about anticipation of like a certain technological. Oh God, there we are. Fucking. Fuck you, StreamYards.
Sure.
It's about a certain technological level of sophistication and like expectation of that sophistication. Because like fork didn't really enter like common usage until the 1600s. It's basically like a Renaissance era implement when it outgrew the barbecue fork and entered even like noble people use. We're not terrifically far removed from like knife and hand, but it is a major technological shift. And like Jonathan Wong does a great job of pointing out, like, no, it's about structural integrity of the food, whether it was designed to be handled with hands, etc. Versus when the anticipation is all you have is your hand, because your level of capital accumulation, your level of technological sophistication is just hand becomes shovel, have food hand, have poop hand. Like,
yeah.
And like that the Arabs have outgrown this over the last 50 years, despite being prior to that a firm food hand, poop hand culture, is like even literally one of the most isolated like cultural regions on earth has grown past this.
This guy chipping down the poop. Can you see this? He loves it. By the way, it also doesn't help that the Indians are extremely small and frail of build. Like I could go in that crowd with like a pretty good like gauntlet and just like kill everybody in there like in 2 seconds, no problem. They're just so small and slight. I just rip them apart. I
wonder though how much of that is like because even that, like, among Americans, and like I observed pretty quickly, like living in the DC area, which is like one of the most like multi-lineage places in the world. Like I very rapidly observed like a difference in just like the great range of body types between human beings. Like not even necessarily between genetic lineages, although there is some of that, like the Indians being like relatively small and frail. Like
have historically small penises as well.
So I was on a rugby team during high school.
Okay.
And we had one guy on there who was also named Alex, that was built with like Mad Max wasteland warlord physique. Like this guy would be leading some kind of khanate if you transported him far back enough in time. I forget where I was going with this. This is why I say we probably should have ended this, because we're in like mad digression territory.
It's all good. It's all good. We're talking. we're well digressed. Yeah, this guy Tyler Oliveira is out in India showing everybody what's going on. He's got a 30-minute coming in. Yep. Look at the scammer. Look at the African scammer chasing him down. Yeah. I'll end it on this. I'm going to end it soon, very quickly. Is that you cannot have a culture that's able to maintain its technological foundation without some level of sophistication, right? So, yeah, this is not going to do. I hope that proper Americans, can take control of their tech. However, I see very little interest from the average person to do it. Everyone thinks that they're supposed to be divinely inspired to be a technologist. That's just not how it goes. If you look at the, was it the Swedish experiment where they tried to maximize freedom for women versus freedom for men, and they all just sorted out to where you would think they would be, like all the women became nurses and caregivers, and all the men became
technologists. Given maximal freedom, women actually chose massively to be in, naturally female appealing disciplines, and
and homemakers disproportionately too.
Like you kind of have, and I don't want more women to be technologists, but I'm saying that men need to be drawn towards it more and pressured into it. Maybe it's not about whether you want to do it or not. If that's your dream, I couldn't care less. I mean, my dream was to be a classical guitarist. Maybe someday I'll like post a video of me playing classical gas. It's like which I learned on my own with no teacher. It's like there's a lot of things that we want to do that we can't do because needs must. And I feel like a lot of Americans just sort of hide from their needs. And it makes them weaker. And it makes them tremendously weak.
Yeah. The emergence of Quirk Chungus and Manchild as a cultural archetype is in fact a signal of a massive technological regression.
Right. Like men rebelling against their own existence versus women desperately needing attention give rise to Manchild and Quirk Chungus. Which is true, by the way. I've known many. There's a lot of Quirk Chungus women that want to be like polyamorous too. It's really fucked up.
And this is why like this idea needs to go back in the oven because it's half baked, but state mandated husbands.
Like having a marriage is not yeah.
It's the seed of something that will generate a solution. But it's not ready.
I like how you're like sort of on the serfdom bent, and I'm a little bit on the opposite side where I'm on the sifdom. I'm going to call it sifdom because I want to sift out civilization. Where you're like, we need to make a place for these people and help them survive. And I'm like,
no, yeah. We need a well integrated society, and we're really seeing it like fracture at the seams. Like, oh, I think we're hitting a terminal point here.
Whereas I'm like, I'm not an accelerationist, but I'm a Darwinist Christianist, which is I have a lot of faith in God, and I also believe that people should be filtered out, which is horrendously harsh. Like you will see more bodies stacked by the likes of a good Christian than by anybody else, because they're just willing to let the nation of the wicked fall apart, right? Like, that's just how we roll.
I mean, I think you're a lot more affirmatively and outwardly Christian than I am, but I think part of why we converge so much, like as a duo, is we are actually basically the same mix of Christian and Darwin in our religious sentiments.
That might be interesting. It's because I would like to find differences between us, but I number station says this: every man wants Jane Jetson or Wilma Flintstone, but are you a George or a Fred? I'm a shitty writer. Because one of the concepts I say is that like a lot of men want a 1950s wife, but it's like you are a stranger in the 1950s. Like any 1950s girl, I mean, imagine all the derogatory terms that 1950s girls had for men: dweeb, dork, nerd, loser, geek. It was like you'd be like those women were really ruthless about filtering out men. I was like, do you think you can satisfy one of those? I doubt it. Because if you can't fix the car, she's gonna think you're a bitch. Do you want that woman? It's like she's like she's like over there chewing some bubble gum while she's like kneading some dough in the doorway to the garage. It's like, oh, you can't figure out the suspension? Maybe I should ask the neighbor. Maybe he'd know how to do it. She goes back in. You're like, fuck. That's called pressure. By the way, that's also how Asian women all operate. The good goods have high standards, I guess. Anyways, yeah. We're going to go and end it soon because I think we're petering out. And I think we've said what we've wanted to say about a lot of things. The Mechanicus is actually kind of a shallow subject, so we sort of sorted that out pretty quickly. It's kind of a caricature.
I mean, what our rule is, the first 2 hours is the meat of the discussion, and after that is just like bonus and BSing. I think we hit the 2 hours pretty cleanly.
I think we did. We might revisit it someday. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I want to revisit. We'd be getting into particulars which are probably not that interesting to us, right? Like particular stories or particular examples. We really couldn't give a rat's ass. maybe we'll get into that if there's a specific book that we're going to look into. But yeah, I think we got the meat on that. I am going to thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We did this on Friday. Do you guys like this on Friday, or do you want us to go back to Thursday? I kind of like Friday. It's a nice way to end the week. But let us know. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a
Bye,
good one.
everybody.